Chapter 829. On the other side, Luo Yao had also suddenly attacked. The other party was caught off guard and was ambushed by the Jade Emperor. The result was obvious. Soon Luo Yao had also finished her battle. She had just stopped when she saw the solipsistic sitting at the side and watching the show. You're awake? Lu Chen hurried over and searched the corpses one by one. Of course I'm awake. Otherwise, do you expect to finish the battle so that you can watch my erotic scenes? Lu Chen was very careful. He soon found a bunch of cash withdrawal scrolls on the corpses. Good lord, there's at least 70 to 80,000. Lu Chen was pleasantly surprised. These guys must have killed and robbed many times. How despicable. Luo Yao was completely stunned. How did she not realize that this guy was actually so sinister? Thinking back, when the elf man came over to strike up a conversation, this guy seemed to have changed into a different person. He seemed especially gullible. When they invited him over for dinner, he agreed faster than anyone else. It was as if he had been waiting for it. In the end, it was all a facade. This guy was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. He was full of evil tricks. What was worse was that he had already finished off a few nightwalkers, but he did not come over to help. He even searched the corpses first. No, aren't you also killing and robbing now? Why are you still so righteous? Luo Yao looked at the solipsistic in shock. I've seen thick-skinned people, but this is the first time I've seen someone as thick-skinned as you. Lu Chen stood up and shook his head. It's not easy for a level 5 to drop equipment. Maybe it's because they haven't activated soul body as one. It's a pity. Lu Chen held a stack of cash withdrawal scrolls. Looking at them, his mood improved. Not bad. There's at least 70 to 80,000 cash withdrawal scrolls. I've made a small fortune. Lu Chen kept the cash withdrawal scrolls and walked to Luo Yao. Of course I'm different from them. I still have a bottom line. At least I'll kill people. After saying that, Lu Chen painfully took out a stack of cash withdrawal scrolls. There were about 20,000 cash withdrawal scrolls and handed them to Luo Yao. Here, this is your share. Luo Yao was rather surprised that this fellow would actually give her a share. At this moment, Luo Yao realized that she was becoming more and more unable to see through this person. He had hidden himself so deeply that he had even fooled her. Luo Yao raised her head and looked at Lu Chen with a faint smile. That's all I have. I've killed more people than you, and all the experts are on my side. I should be the one taking the lead. Lu Chen pursed his lips. You're taking the biggest share? You're so silly and always keep a straight face. People can tell at a glance that you're wary of them. My plan was almost ruined by you. If you didn't attract these people, I wouldn't even want to give you 10,000 yuan. You. As the ruler of the Eastern Peak Nation, Luo Yao had experienced countless battles, big and small. Yet, she was actually despised by this fellow? In fact, it wasn't that Luo Yao didn't know how to disguise herself. Her experience wasn't any less than Lu Chen's. It was just that in recent years, she had been leading armies and fighting wars more and more. She had been traveling less and less in the Jianghu. Moreover, as the Jade Emperor, she couldn't let go of her status. Those Nightwalker clan members who peeked at her wretchedly would have been killed by her. Why would there be so much trouble later on? However, no matter what, she wasn't as natural as the solipsistic. Forget it. I don't want your cash withdrawal scroll. You can keep it for yourself. Luo Yao didn't really want the cash withdrawal scroll. She just wanted to see why the solipsistic distributed the rewards. Now that she understood, since it made sense, she didn't care about the cash withdrawal scroll. You don't want it? I don't want it. It's best if you don't want it. Lu Chen didn't hold back at all. What he lacked the most now was cash withdrawal scrolls. Go back and sleep. Just as Lu Chen and Luo Yao left, a pair of eyes peeked out from the depths of the grass. Judging from his figure, he seemed to be a human. Who are these two people? They killed all the Nightwalker clan members in an instant? What kind of strength is this? The next morning, the large group quickly discovered that the group of elves had died outside the campsite. However, their deaths were very gruesome. Their faces were pitch black, their eyes were almost popping out of their sockets, and their bodies were stiff. Just looking at the corpses, they seemed to have died a long time ago. It's the Nightwalker clan. Someone quickly reacted. After the Nightwalker clan members were killed, they would look like this. Heavens, it's really the Nightwalker clan. Isn't that the guy who pulled us in? He's actually from the Nightwalker clan. I didn't even notice. Someone felt a chill. Who killed them? These Nightwalker clan members were very high level. There were 4 great emperors, and one of them was even a 4-star great emperor. To have the strength to kill them all silently. Who was it? Someone had killed someone in the campsite. Whether it was the Nightwalker clan or the culprit, it wasn't a good thing for the partners. Immediately, someone began to investigate. It's not a big deal to find out who killed the Nightwalker tribe. We just need to say hello to everyone. Someone secretly looked at Lu Chun and Luo Yao. Many people had seen the two of them enter the elf campsite. Lu Chun didn't want to admit that he had killed and robbed, so as to avoid trouble. He shook his head and said, "Don't look at me. My level is low, so I can't kill them." Someone saw Lu Chun's badge. A 7-star wild cultivator. He was immediately eliminated as a suspect. With that said, the only suspect left was Luo Yao. Luo Yao glared at Lu Chun and said, "My senior brother told me, especially a girl, that I can't stay in an outsider's campsite. Yesterday, I went there to eat something, but I came back very quickly." Suddenly, 2 dwarves jumped out to testify for Luo Yao. That's true. After all, this is the White Lion Nation. Everyone knows that there are Nightwalker clan members here. It's very rare for a girl to stay outside alone. Yes, I did see this girl come out from their campsite. I can prove it. Luo Yao nodded slightly at the 2 dwarves to express her gratitude. This person didn't say anything. The 2 dwarves immediately raised their heads and bowed back like gentlemen. This scene didn't escape Lu Chen's eyes. Good heavens, so you can do whatever you want just because you're good-looking. In the crowd, a pair of eyes kept staring at the 2 dwarves. This guy was also speechless. In terms of acting skills, the 2 of them seemed to be on par with each other. Indeed, birds of the same feather flock together. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have suspected the 2 of them. This person also didn't say anything. In the end, this matter was left unsettled. A few people wanted to go up and search the corpses, but naturally, they didn't find anything. The group still had to hurry on with their journey. Everyone set off again. But every small group seemed to have become more cautious. On the 2nd day, everything was peaceful. On the 3rd day, they were already close to Peacock City. At this time, they had already gone deep into the canyon. The cliffs on both sides were hundreds of meters high, and the vegetation was denser and larger than before. There was a strong airflow above the canyon, so they couldn't fly. Everyone could only move forward with difficulty. Everyone, hurry up. At this speed, we can't catch up. Please don't encounter any demonic beasts. We've been delayed for too long. We can't make it now. Don't jinx it. If we hurry, we can definitely reach Peacock City before the night of the full moon. At this time, dark clouds appeared in the sky above the canyon. The dark clouds were thick and heavy, and the surroundings started to darken. In an instant, heavy rain began to fall from the sky. The rain poured down heavily, and the visibility was less than 5 meters. The huge branches and leaves of the plants were pressed down, making it almost impossible to walk on the ground. Why is it raining so heavily? We can't walk. We have to walk even if we can't. Otherwise, we'll be eaten by the demons. Hurry. Lu Chun frowned slightly. This rain was a little strange. Hey. A faint voice called out from behind. Be careful, something is coming. What's making such a big commotion? Lu Chun asked curiously. Luo Yao's gaze seemed to be able to see through the rain. Our luck is really good. When we get back, I'll definitely try my luck at the casino. It's very likely the owner of the Magic Eye Canyon, the 8-eyed lion. Oh, I wonder if it's 8 or 9 eyes. Luo Yao didn't forget to add. Chapter 830. The water on the ground converged into a river in less than 5 minutes, washing over the team. Lu Chun was about to take out the clear water orb when he suddenly found the rainwater above his head bouncing off a spirit energy shield. Lu Chun turned around in surprise and found that Luo Yao had opened up a spirit energy shield. This transparent shield isolated the two of them from the outside world, like two people holding an umbrella on a rainy day. What are you looking at? If the eight-eyed ghoul appears later, don't run around. Your little tricks won't work in front of absolute strength. Luo Yao's gaze was still focused on the surroundings. Lu Chen suddenly asked, how is the eight-eyed ghoul compared to the eight-tailed snow fox? Luo Yao looked at Lu Chen. Then her gaze swept to the 7-star Wild Cultivator badge. As expected, Wild Cultivator's common sense was so poor that it made her speechless. Have you heard of the 7 demonic beast generals? Lu Chen nodded. Almost all of the 7 demonic beast generals are rank 8. Although the difference doesn't sound big, the difference in strength is huge. Rank 8 is the realm of demonic beasts, and demonic beasts' realms aren't divided as clearly as cultivators. Their rank 8 strength span is very large. If compared to cultivators, they can cover our double D cultivation. Double D cultivation should be referring to the 2 great realms of earth cultivation and emperor cultivation. Think about it. How big is the 8-tailed snow fox's sphere of influence? How big is the 8-eyed ghoul's sphere of influence? In the area where the 8-tailed snow fox lives, what are the cultivation levels of the surrounding cultivators? And what about the 8-eyed ghoul? Lu Chen frowned. The 8-tailed snow fox only controls a snow mountain, and the surrounding cultivators are mainly great cultivators and earth cultivators, while the 8-eyed ghoul lives in the Magic Eye Canyon, which spans almost an entire country, and there is no lack of emperor cultivators around. With this comparison, Lu Chen immediately understood. The 8-eyed ghoul's strength was not just a little bit stronger than the 8-tailed snow fox. I only hope that guy hasn't evolved to 9 eyes, otherwise it will be very troublesome. Luo Yao's tone was heavy. Lu Chen rarely saw her so serious. Nameless, I said I would guarantee your safety. Follow me closely and avoid the 8-eyed ghoul if you can. If you dare to run around, I will kill you. Luo Yao grabbed Lu Chen's arm and stared at Lu Chen fiercely. If the Jade Emperor couldn't fulfill her promise, she would definitely lose face. It seemed like Luo Yao was serious. Lu Chen's objective was completely different from Luo Yao's. However, now that Luo Yao had threatened him so fiercely, Lu Chen could only agree to her request for the time being. I know. I don't want to die. I'll follow you, okay? You're a girl. Why are you so fierce? Seeing that Lu Chen had given in, Luo Yao let go of him. Follow the team. The torrential rain showed no signs of stopping. Instead, it was getting heavier. Although the rain wasn't enough to stop the team from moving forward, it greatly slowed down the team's progress. Lu Chen and Luo Yao followed the team closely and moved forward with difficulty. Suddenly, 2 humans in front of them stopped and looked at them anxiously, standing there and waiting for them. One of them was a middle-aged man, and the other was a little girl who was about 12 or 13 years old. The man was a 6-star earth cultivator, and the girl was an 8-star great cultivator. Both of you, can we travel with you? The man asked earnestly. Lu Chen looked at the girl strangely. She was in the 5th layer of heaven at such a young age. Unless she was a native, it was almost impossible to come to the 5th layer of heaven at such a young age. You are a native? Yes. The man nodded. This is my daughter. During a hunt, we obtained some opportunities and embarked on the path of cultivation. Very few natives could cultivate, but there were countless opportunities in the 5th heaven, so it wasn't completely impossible for natives to cultivate. Moreover, these 2 people's cultivation levels were not low. Among the natives, they were considered top-notch experts. Seeing that Lu Chen and Luo Yao were silent, the man said, Please take my daughter with you. This rain is strange. I think it's caused by a powerful demonic beast. With my strength, I can't protect Xiaohui. I only ask that you take my daughter with you. What does your daughter have to do with us? Luo Yao said coldly. Both of you. I know that you are very strong. On the first night, I happened to be outside the camp. The man mustered up his courage and looked at them. His implication was obvious. He had seen Lu Chen and Luo Yao killing the Nightwalker tribe. So what if you saw it? Luo Yao didn't buy it at all. Both of you, please don't misunderstand. I have no intention of exposing you. These few days, I have been very tight-lipped and didn't mention a word to anyone. What I mean is that since the 2 of you could kill those Nightwalkers, You definitely have the strength to protect yourself. Taking Xiao Hui with you might be a piece of cake. But to me, if that person came, even if I risked my life, I wouldn't be able to protect Xiao Hui. The man choked. I promised the child's mother that I would protect Xiao Hui. But since you want to protect your daughter, why did you bring her to Demon Eye Valley? Lu Chen asked. The man seemed to have something he couldn't say, but now was not the time to hide it. He sighed. White Lion Kingdom's war god, the Lion King, is about to gain attributes. The child's mother, she is the medium for the Lion King's awakening. In order to gain the Lion King's attributes, the child's mother must be sacrificed. 3 months ago, someone snatched the child's mother away. Most people wouldn't believe such a baseless story, but Lu Chen was already 80 to 90% convinced. Only a few people knew about this. The man wouldn't use such a thing as an excuse. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. The Lion King was about to awaken? His method of rebirth was similar to the ice gods. He also relied on the natives to store the necessary ingredients for his rebirth. 3 months ago. It's been so long. I'm afraid your wife. Not everyone was like Shui, who could meet Lu Chen. The man's eyes reddened. His voice trembled. I know. But I won't give up until I see it with my own eyes. Even if it's a corpse, even if it's a strand of hair, I will find it. Lu Chen sighed. The fate of the weak was so lowly. His true love was so easily taken away. The two of you follow us. This was all Lu Chen could do now. Luo Yao said unhappily. Hey, I'm only protecting you. I'm not responsible for protecting them. Lu Chen smiled. It's okay. I will protect them. Although Luo Yao was cold, she still covered the father and daughter with her spiritual shield. Thank you for your kindness. My name is Atai. Xiao Hui quickly thanked the two benefactors. Luo Yao waved her hand, heartlessly rejecting the two's thanks. Lu Chen had been thinking about a question. The 7 ancient gods seemed to be reborn one after another. Could this be a coincidence? Why did it happen after he opened the spiritual veins in the heavenly lake? The situation in the 5th heaven seemed to be getting more and more complicated. What a deadly immortal level hidden mission. This was going to overturn the entire heavenly layer. Father, can we reach the Peacock City before the full moon? Xiao Hui asked. If we really delay until the full moon, will we all die? Atai looked at the sky and frowned. Don't be afraid. Xiao Hui, as long as we don't meet any demonic beasts, we should be able to make it. However, just as Atai finished speaking, someone in front of the group suddenly shouted. There's a demonic beast. Chapter 831. Lu Chen looked at Atai in shock. Brother, can you stop talking? Luo Shui frowned. Even if he doesn't say it, the beasts will come. Lu Chen and the rest were at the back of the team. In the heavy rain, blurry figures were approaching. It's the rain Jiao. Judging from their size, their strength should be between the 6th and 7th transformation. There are about 300 to 400 of them. Luo Shui saw the enemy clearly. The rain Jiao looked like a dog with leopard prints all over its body. Its horns were like that of a cow, and its body was about 10 meters tall. 6th or 7th transformation meant that they had to be killed 6 to 7 times. Every time they were resurrected, their strength would increase greatly. It's not the 8-eyed gnomes. Atai said nervously. It's its subordinates. These rain Jiao's strength is already terrifying and they live in groups. However, in the past, there would not be more than 20 to 30 of them. A normal team would be able to deal with them, but now there are so many of them. Our team is already small. It's impossible for us to reach Peacock City before the full moon. 300 to 400 6th or 7th transformation rain Jiao were enough to surround them. The battle was about to start. The surrounding teams had already come into contact with a large number of rain Jiao. The sound of their souls merging into one could be heard continuously. All kinds of skills and shouts could be heard in the heavy rain. The first transformation rain Jiao was not difficult for these experts. The key was time. Being entangled by these rain Jiao, it was impossible for them to reach Peacock City. Looks like we can't escape. Oh well, my two benefactors, I will try my best to hold them back. You guys take Xiao Hui and leave first. Atai took out a long staff. From the weapon, he should be a close combat martial artist. Father. Xiaohui pulled her father reluctantly. Xiaohui, follow my two benefactors. If you see your mother in the future and she's still alive, tell her. I miss her very much. Also Xiaohui, you have to live well. Whether your mother and I are still alive or not, you have to live. After saying that, Atai held the long staff and rushed into the heavy rain through Luo Yao's spiritual shield. He shouted as he ran, "Go!" Seeing Atai rush into the group of Rain Jiao without hesitation, Xiaohui broke down and cried. Father. An earth elementalist had charged into the Cunning Yu group alone. The final outcome was self-evident. If nothing unexpected happened, Atai would definitely not have survived. Luo Yao glanced at Xiaohui, who was sobbing uncontrollably and had almost broken free from Lu Chen's arms. She suddenly felt a little dazed. She was in a high position and had seen many deaths. She should have been indifferent to this, but for some reason, when she was beside these ordinary people, she felt completely different from when she was high up in the air and counting the list of the dead. She could truly feel the pain of being separated by life and death. In order to protect his daughter, her father did not hesitate to block Yu Jiao alone. The higher one's cultivation level was, the more difficult it was to encounter such a stupid thing. In the royal family, it was not uncommon for brothers to kill each other in order to compete for resources. On the contrary, it was these ordinary people who placed their family members in a more important position than their own lives. He glanced at Xiaohui again. The little girl refused to leave no matter what. She was already sobbing her eyes out. Luo Yao sighed and shook her head. What's the point of you staying? He's just going to die. And that stupid father of yours. Does he think that a mere earth elementalist like him can block these Yu Jiao? Xiaohui's heart ached. When she heard Luo Yao berate them the moment she opened her mouth, she glared at Luo Yao. What right do you have to talk about my father? I don't need your protection. Let me go. If you dared to talk to me like this under normal circumstances, you would have died long ago. Luo Yao snorted coldly. She took out a rubber band from somewhere and used both hands to tie it up skillfully. Her waterfall-like long hair was tied up high. Kid, don't run around. Luo Yao warned Lu Chen. At the same time, she slowly pulled out a purple longsword from the void. In a flash, Luo Yao transformed into a pale green flowing light and stabbed towards the Cunning Yu group. She had not activated Soul Body as one either. A ray of sword light flashed and shot towards the Cunning Yu group like a laser. Just as it was about to hit the Cunning Yu group, the ray of light suddenly split into dozens of branches and shot towards the surrounding Cunning Yu group with unerring accuracy. Sword Dao Limitless. In just an instant, 40 to 50 Cunning Yu who had undergone their first job transition were all killed. As Atai fought, he suddenly realized that the enemies were all gone. He turned his head blankly and saw a pale green figure slowly walking towards him in the rain. She was holding a purple longsword and wearing a green dress. Even though the rain was falling, it was unable to wet her clothes at all. Your daughter is crying and making a fuss. She's too annoying. If you want to take care of her, go take care of her yourself, Luo Yao said coldly as she passed by Atai. Benefactor, don't be a hindrance here. Hurry up and leave. They're about to undergo their second job transition. Luo Yao still did not give Atai any face. Atai knew that he was too weak and hurriedly retreated to Lu Chen's side. Father. Ahui hugged her father tightly. I thought I would never see you again. Next time, don't leave me alone. If we're going to die, let's die together as a family. Atai held back his tears and nodded heavily. Lu Chen took out the clear water pearl at some point and helped the father and daughter avoid the rain. Atai suddenly thought of something and looked anxiously at Lu Chen. Benefactor, your wife? Her? She's not my wife. Lu Chen shook his head. I didn't expect this guy to help you. Don't worry, we'll send you to Peacock City. Wait for her first. At this time, some of the Rain Jiaos resurrected very quickly. Just a moment after they fell down, they straightened their bodies and underwent their second job transition. Luo Yao's figure was like a ghost. Her sword chi crisscrossed. In the heavy rain, she was like a green shadow, jumping among the Rain Jiaos. Wherever the green shadow went, blood splattered. But before the blood completely exploded, she had already flashed in front of another Rain Jiao's. Her sword danced, and several Rain Jiaos fell to the ground again. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. He knew that Luo Yao should be very strong, but he did not expect this guy to be so strong. In just a few minutes, she had already forced the Rain Jiaos to undergo their fourth job transition. Moreover, the most important thing was her fighting style. Except for the everlasting sword Dao, she did not seem to use any skills. She only used her body movement and sword skills to stab the Rain Jiao's vital points. Good fellow, not only did she not use soul body as one, she didn't even use any skills. Lu Chen looked at Luo Yao with interest. When she fights, her figure is graceful. The position of every step is not only to dodge, but also to accumulate strength for the next attack. Her fighting experience and skills are top-notch. Every move seems like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water, but it's extremely fatal. Her moves are as smooth as flowing water, and there are countless possibilities of changing moves everywhere, using the least amount of strength to put herself in the most powerful position. This guy is a bit strong. To be able to receive such praise from Lu Chen, Luo Yao was probably the only one in the current position. Dad, that sister is so strong. Even Xiao Hui was stunned. And she's so beautiful when she fights. She doesn't look like she's killing people, but more like she's dancing. Atai's gaze could not leave Luo Yao. He could not help but shake his head and sigh. I've never seen anyone who can perform a battle so beautifully. She's so skillful and so casual. This benefactor's strength is definitely not just a 5-star emperor. Chapter 832. By the time Yu Jiao reached the 5th class advancement, the surrounding teams had already fallen into a bitter battle. Some in the crowd had already given up on themselves. What's the point of fighting like this? Yu Jiao becomes stronger every time he revives. Even if we can kill him, we won't be able to escape Demon Eye Valley in time. We can't win. They're getting stronger. My soul-body fusion time is almost up. It's over. There were also some who had yet to give up. Stop talking nonsense. Demon Eye Valley is so big. I don't believe that there's no way out once the full moon arrives. There's an expert at the back. This is everyone's only chance. If we don't fight now, we'll definitely die. Luo Yao had already killed the surrounding Yu Jiao to the 6th class advancement. Some of them had even reached the 7th class advancement. When Lu Chen had faced 7 5th class advancement Swanee at the same time, he had also felt the pressure multiply. Now there were dozens of 6th class Yu Jiao, and even the former Yu Jiao. However, Luo Yao's movements were not messed up at all. Her figure was graceful, and her movements were clean and neat. Her sword left scars as it passed. The only difference was that she had begun to use skills. 9 Palace Flower Shifting. Luo Yao's figure was even faster than before. Traceless Way of the Sword, Mortal Sword. Luo Yao's every sword carried a sharp sword aura. Her sword moves were endless, and her sword aura was endless. Lu Chen frowned. Luo Yao's skills seemed to be very different from his. Regardless of the damage, Luo Yao's skills seemed to have been integrated into her every move. An upward slash would cause sword aura to rise from the ground. A straight stab would cause sword aura to erupt from the tip of the sword. There were no deliberate moves. Invisibly, her skills were everywhere. Could it be that experts will integrate their skills and moves like this when they reach a high level? Lu Chen could not help but ponder. For example, after the 7 transformations of demons and gods, Lu Chen could unleash 2,160 slashes with Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain. However, every time, he would use the skill in one go. Although the power was terrifying, on the other hand, high damage was actually useless. In most cases, the damage would overflow. Moreover, if the opponent dodged, he would have wasted a sacred lotus sword. If he could fuse his skills with his moves, he would be able to maintain Holy Sword Lotus for even longer. Another example would be the world annihilating 9 dragons. 9 dragons would appear at the same time, but if they could be separated so that each move only had 1 dragon, it might be quite effective. It had to be said that watching Luo Yao's battle inspired Lu Chen greatly. Big brother, aren't you going to help big sister? Xiao Hui looked at Lu Chen strangely. Only then did Lu Chen wake up from his contemplation. Although Luo Yao was strong, their goal was to leave the battle as soon as possible. Okay, I'll go help her. You two stay here and don't run around. Lu Chen had just taken a step when he suddenly heard an explosion in the battlefield. With a boom, the rainwater gathered on the ground within a radius of several hundred meters, along with the soil and plants, suddenly exploded. Lu Chen hurriedly looked at the battlefield. Luo Yao was slowly walking over, but behind her, the explosions were becoming more and more intense. Let's go, my explosion array won't be able to hold them for long. I tried my best to control the number of times they were reborn. Most of them were at the 6th transformation. If they were reborn again, they would be at the 7th transformation. At that time, it would be more troublesome. Luo Yao quickly rushed in front of the 3 of them. Lu Chen was even more surprised. Luo Yao actually set up an array in such a dangerous situation just now. She didn't even notice it. Not only that, she had already decided not to fight head-on at the beginning of the battle. Instead, she used movement to set up an array. It was clear that she wasn't the kind of person who fought brainlessly. This woman was quite strong. You haven't used soul-body fusion yet? Lu Chen sized up Luo Yao with interest. This fellow was probably the person whose strength was closest to his among all the people he had met. It's just Yu Jiao. Luo Yao replied lightly. After saying that, she took the lead and rushed forward. Follow me closely. Lu Chen looked at Luo Yao's back and couldn't help but sigh. Was this her nature? She didn't panic in the face of chaos and was quite strong. She even lied to me and didn't eat for several days. Lu Chen complained and jogged to catch up. The surrounding team saw Luo Yao and the others. Some of them asked for help, but Luo Yao didn't even look at them. Xiao Hui couldn't bear it. Aren't we going to save them? Luo Yao said decisively, no. The 4 of them ran forward. When Yu Jiao pounced on them, Luo Yao raised her hand and slashed with her sword, showing no mercy. Not long after, the 4 of them broke out of Yu Jiao's encirclement and moved quickly toward Peacock City. It wasn't easy to catch up with Luo Yao. Luo Yao didn't have the habit of stopping to wait for others. Atai could still keep up, but Xiao Hui was a little powerless. Xiao Hui, hurry. Atai was a little anxious. Lu Chen carried Xiao Hui on his back. Brother Tai, I'll carry her. Let's get out of here first. Gradually, Yu Jiao stopped chasing them. The heavy rain in front of them also became a lot lighter. However, when they looked back, the road they came from was still a murky world of drizzling rain. The team's speed finally slowed down. Atai shook his head. He didn't know how many people were going to fall into the mud. Only the 4 of them were left in the team of more than 200 people. The dark clouds were still above their heads. The 4 of them didn't dare to stop and rest. They continued to walk toward Peacock City. Speaking of which, such a large area was covered by dark clouds, causing them to be unable to see the sky clearly. However, as they gradually left the center of the storm, the dark clouds gradually thinned. Atai's heart was once again in his mouth. Not good, it's going to be dark soon. After Luo Yao heard that, she secretly increased her speed. Half an hour later, the canyon was already dark. A trace of moonlight could be seen on top of the steep cliff that was hundreds of meters high. Full moon night. Atai's eyelids twitched. Fortunately, at this moment, they saw a huge city wall built against the mountain in front of them. There were colorful city signs engraved on the city wall. It seemed to be a peacock's tail. We've reached Peacock City. Quick, quick, Peacock City is in front of us. Atai shouted excitedly. The 4 of them spurred their horses, and even used their teleportation skills to rush toward Peacock City. However, at this moment, the ground suddenly rumbled. Following that, a steel wall slowly rose from the ground in front of Peacock City's city wall. One city wall was not enough. Was there another steel wall? A bugle call resounded through the canyon. On the cliff behind the city, a large number of figures suddenly appeared. They held bows and arrows and stood at the top of the cliff. They lined up and filled the entire Peacock City. Everyone pay attention. It's the night of the full moon. The demons have awakened. Be on your guard. At the same time, Lu Chen and the other 3 had already arrived at the city gate. The iron gate had not been completely raised. As long as they opened the city gate now, the 4 of them could enter Peacock City. It's Peacock City's guards. General, please open the city gate and let the 4 of us in. I beg you. Atai shouted. Among the guards, a man in golden armor looked down and saw Atai and the other 3 at a glance. There are still people here? The city gate has already been closed. Scram. Luo Yao frowned. As the ruler of Dongyu country, she naturally understood this kind of military fortification. Your outer gate has not been completely closed. This means that the city is not sealed yet. The opening of the inner gate does not affect the closing of the outer gate. Why are you not opening the gate? That person looked at Luo Yao from afar and coldly snorted. Why are you not opening the gate? Because I don't want to open it. Chapter 833. Everyone knows that in the Demon Eye Valley, on the night of the full moon, the demon eye opens and the demon eye appears. However, I have been in charge of guarding the Peacock City's stronghold for many years, yet I have never seen the demon eye open. The steel door was still slowly closing, but the guard was still speaking unhurriedly. There is a change in the weather in front. I wonder if that fellow is nearby. Actually, I really hope that it is. If I can see the so-called demon eye, ha 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 ha, it can also be an interesting matter. Lu Chen coldly snorted and looked at that person. So in your eyes, we are just here to add to your fun. Otherwise, you should feel honored to have such an opportunity. Sir, please open the door. If you want to have fun, just let me stay here alone. Atai was so anxious that he almost cried. Let my benefactor and my daughter enter the city, I beg you. The city gate was right in front of them, but they were only a small step away from escaping. In the end, what awaited them was the most terrifying night of the full moon. They are your benefactors, not mine. Your daughter is a treasure in your eyes, but she is worthless to me. That person was unmoved. It is more interesting to leave a few more alive. The demon eye rarely comes out, so we have to be good hosts and let it eat until it is full. You humans have the most delicious meat, so just treat it as my supper for them. Atai still wanted to say something, but Lu Chen patted his shoulder. Brother Tai, don't beg him. Can't tell that he wants to see us die? But we are only 1 step away. Atai was extremely vexed. Lu Chen smiled. Actually, it is not that important whether I send you to the Peacock City or not. Even if I send you here, I will not stay here. Ah. Not only was Atai surprised, even Luo Yao looked at Lu Chen strangely. Lu Chen looked behind him at the gradually darkening sky. Lu Chen's gaze became serious. I originally wanted to take a good look at the Demon Eye Valley and see what kind of fellow lives here. The spirit vein was here. Could it be that the ones guarding it were the 4 heavenly kings of the magical beasts? But no matter what, if he wanted to open the spirit vein, this battle was unavoidable. Since it was unavoidable, why would he hide on the night of the full moon? Looking up at the cliff, the moon had already climbed the branches of the mountain. Let's find a place to rest. Lu Chen led the 3 of them to a flat area outside Peacock City. What are you waiting for? Aren't you going to eat? Add the bonfire to boil water and cook. Lu Chen looked at the dumbfounded father and daughter with a funny face. Atai also reacted and nodded. That thing may not be able to find us. Even if it comes, we can't fight on an empty stomach. Shall we boil water and cook? The 2 of them searched for some dry grass and twigs nearby, and began to get busy. Lu Chen walked to Luo Yao's side. Hey, it's not even 2 months yet. Can you still guarantee my safety? Luo Yao glared at Lu Chen. You've thought about it from the beginning, haven't you? You said yourself that you'd guarantee my safety for 2 months. I didn't force you. Luo Yao smiled helplessly. No wonder you didn't tell me what you wanted to do. You're too evil. I don't know what we'll face on the night of the full moon. I'm not sure if I can still guarantee your safety. If I can't beat it, you'll probably run away since you're so smart, right? Lu Chen smiled. Of course I'll run away. If I can't even beat you, why wouldn't I run? Luo Yao shook her head. That was true. Solipsistic was a despicable person. Until now, he had almost never fought. Even against the Night Ghost tribe, he had only dealt with a few earth cultivation women. If you run, bring the father and daughter with you. After Luo Yao finished speaking, she turned around and sat under a tree stump, closing her eyes to rest. Lu Chen smiled. He didn't expect that this fierce person would actually consider the father and daughter. He looked at the night sky and narrowed his eyes. 8 eyes or 9 eyes? Or some demon or ghost? I'm coming. Atai was staring at the pot in a daze. Perhaps he was worried about his upcoming fate. The water in the pot swayed slightly. Gradually, it wasn't just the water that was swaying. Following that, the branches holding the stove started to sway, and then the ground. The water in the pot swayed higher and higher, and the boiling water spilled onto the ground. Atai raised his head. On the cliff, the Peacock City's guards gathered together. Everyone had drawn their bows and were ready for battle. At some point in time, a full moon had appeared in the sky above the canyon, illuminating the entire canyon. The night of the full moon. Atai's pupils shrank. The Magic Eye Canyon stretched for thousands of miles. However, no matter where it was, no one dared to pass through the canyon on the night of the full moon. Because no matter where you were, that thing would find you. The ground rumbled and shook violently. The rocks on the surrounding cliffs shook and rolled down from high places. In the dark night, several figures slowly appeared from the darkness. There were 30 to 40 jiaos. However, they were taller and their bodies were blurry. Their bodies emitted a black fog, and only the outlines of their bodies could be seen. If one looked closely, their eyes were emitting a faint black fog. At the core of the black fog was a ball of faint green eyeball. It's not a rain jiao, it's a ghost jiao. Luo Yao stared at the group of demonic beasts. These are probably ghost jiaos close to the 8th transformation. Why are there so many of them? Could it be the ancient full moon night? However, when a low beast roar came from behind, these terrifying creatures lowered their heads and consciously made way for the two sides. A gigantic beast that was 25 meters tall walked out of the darkness, with light steps from the group of sly ghosts. One had to know that the level 5 demonic beasts were different from the wild monsters in the previous heaven domains. Their bodies were not as big as those wild monsters, but their strength was stronger than the wild monster bosses from before. The reason why they were small was because they fought with their true bodies. 25 meters. It was already twice as tall as those rank 6 or 7 rain jiaos from before. This giant beast was like a cheetah. It had a slender body and was covered in golden leopard patterns. It had 3 tails behind it. The most terrifying thing was the dense rows of eyes on its head. They were randomly distributed, and each eye did not have an eyelid. They were moving irregularly. If one was stared at by these eyes, one would probably have nightmares for a few days. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8. It's 8 eyes. 8-eyed ghoul. Atai's body trembled slightly. He suppressed the nervousness in his heart and stood up. He took out his long staff and blocked in front of Xiaohui. Xiaohui, I'm afraid we won't be able to escape today. But don't be afraid, our family can finally be reunited. How could Atai not know that his wife had already been killed? The reason why he brought his daughter for thousands of miles was just to chase after a slim hope. And now, it was time to let go of his obsession. Would the family be able to reunite again in the netherworld? The 8-eyed ghoul appeared as expected. At this moment, they did not know if they should be glad that they only met the 8-eyed ghoul, and not the 9-eyed ghoul. That Luo Yao took a step forward and blocked in front of Lu Chen, Atai and Xiaohui. Her long hair that was tied up previously had fallen down. At this moment, she took out a long red ribbon and bit it on her lips. She elegantly tied up her long hair with both hands. Then, she took off the ribbon with one hand and tied it up. She took out her purple long sword and pointed it to the ground. She turned her head. The wind lifted her long hair, and it danced in the wind. The moonlight shone on her perfect face. Everything was so beautiful that it was unreal. Luo Yao whispered to the person behind her. Nameless, do you remember what I told you? Yes. Luo Yao nodded. There's one more thing. You still don't know who I am, right? It doesn't matter who you are. Lu Chen said. Luo Yao smiled. It really doesn't matter. I've almost forgotten who I am. It really doesn't matter who I am. Nameless, I only hope that you will be the one in a million. Lu Chen did not understand what Luo Yao meant. Before he could ask, the woman had already walked towards the herd of beasts. There was one more thing that Luo Yao did not say to Lu Chen. She walked towards the herd of beasts. Luo Yao's gaze instantly sharpened. Nameless, I Kong Luo Yao, said that I will protect you for 2 months. 1 day less. Then I'm not the Jade Emperor. Chapter 834. Unfortunately, Lu Chen didn't hear Luo Yao's last sentence. He didn't know how persistent this woman was. Of course, he also didn't know that this woman was the Jade Emperor, who once commanded the winds and clouds of the 5th heaven. In Lu Chen's eyes, Luo Yao was just a beautiful woman with a mysterious identity. Lu Chen looked at Luo Yao's back. He had the urge to rush to her side. According to Lu Chen's personality, he would never hide behind a woman. But this time he did not make a move. The 8-eyed gnome and the 32-peak rank 7 ghost craftsman were terrifying. But what was the so-called appearance of a demon on a full moon night? What was a demon? Lu Chen was sure that it was not just at this level. He had a premonition that behind the 8-eyed gnome, there was a pair of eyes staring at him. It was like a tiger waiting for an opportunity to strike, hiding in the grass and watching its prey's every move. However, at this moment, Lu Chen was also like a hunter, waiting for his prey to take the bait. There were both hunters and prey. The only question now was who was the hunter and who was the prey. The ghost craftsman had already turned into black smoke and surrounded Luo Yao. Luo Yao snorted. The purple sword in her hand spun a few times like a dagger. She grabbed the hilt. Purple firmament unsheathed. That unsheathed purple sword was just a scabbard. The woman pulled hard and pulled out an even thinner purple longsword from the purple sword. In an instant, Luo Yao's body erupted with powerful purple spirit energy. It shone brightly like the morning glow of dawn. When they saw the longsword, several experts on the cliff widened their eyes in shock. Wait, that sword, could it be the 3rd-ranked sword in the 5th layer of heaven, Purple Firmament Breaking Night? Impossible, Purple Firmament Breaking Night is that woman's sword. Dongyu country and its neighboring countries have not had a large-scale war for decades. No one has seen that sword for a long time. But the purple light is like the morning glow. Other than Purple Firmament Breaking Night, which other weapon has such powerful spirit energy pressure? Moreover, isn't the one using the sword a beautiful woman of the human race? I don't know, but that woman would never come to White Lion country alone. It's even more impossible for her to travel with strangers. Have you forgotten her identity? Now that he mentioned it, that was indeed the case. How could the Eastern Peak Nation's Jade Emperor be the person below? The purple firmament was unsheathed. In a flash, Luo Yao had already charged into the crowd of sly spirits. However, even though Luo Yao's attack was as fast as lightning, when the sword energy hit the Ghost Jiao did not receive any damage. Instead, the Ghost Jiao seemed to be enraged. They howled and rushed toward Luo Yao. Lu Chen frowned. These sly spirits don't eat sword chi. Atai's expression was equally solemn. Ghost Jiaos are different from range Jiaos. Ghost Jiaos are the strongest of the Jiaos. Their spiritual defense is ridiculously high. Look, even if it's a first revolution sly ghost, it doesn't have any reaction after being hit by my sword. They all have rank 7 peak stage strength. Benefactor, we can't just watch Lady Luo Yao go deep into the enemy's formation. At most, I'll die, I'll fight them. Lu Chen grabbed Atai's arm and said, Don't go. You'll only cause trouble for her if you go. Besides, you still have a daughter to protect. But now, Lu Chen's gaze never left the battlefield. He needed to keep an eye on the darkness behind the 8-eyed Jiaos. Luo Yao might not lose. Have you forgotten that she has not used soul-body fusion? With Lady Luo Yao's cultivation level, maybe, her main body is not much weaker than her battle soul? Atai suddenly said. Luo Yao's cultivation level should be above 5-star Emperor cultivation level. Lu Chen was only a 7-star cultivator, but he already had 40,000 spirit energy points. The higher one's cultivation level, the greater the increase in spirit energy. In this case, the 3 dimensions of an Emperor cultivator's main body could reach several 100,000 spirit energy points. The battle souls of many experts in the 4th layer heaven were actually at this level. Even their spirit energy was not that high. Lu Chen shook his head. Brother Tai, you are a native, you shouldn't have a battle soul, right? Atai did not know why Lu Chen suddenly asked this. Although he was puzzled, he still nodded. We indeed do not have the chance to cultivate a battle soul. All of our attribute increases are obtained directly from immortal pills. Immortal pills could directly increase the attributes of the main body, and did not need to be extracted according to the attributes of the battle soul. Of course, it sounded like this cultivation method was very powerful. Because there were no restrictions, there were unlimited possibilities. However, the natives had an insurmountable limit. Taking immortal pills for a long time would still develop drug resistance. Lu Chen was now at a small level. His mind had to increase tens of thousands of attribute points. If he relied on immortal pills, how long could he last? Therefore, it was extremely difficult for the natives to cultivate. Lu Chen smiled. Brother Tai, you don't have a battle soul, so you don't understand how we think. The cultivation of the fifth layer of heaven is not the main body, but the battle soul. Our main body can become stronger as long as we have the extraction scroll. It is not cultivation, but the battle soul needs to be improved. As long as one has a little brain, they will not let their battle soul limit the cultivation of the main body. Luo Yao is not stupid. It is impossible that she does not know this. So I can be sure that her battle soul is definitely stronger than her main body. At this moment, on the battlefield, Eight-Eyed Malevolence was still watching the battle. Luo Yao had experienced hundreds of battles. Facing the sly spirits that were immune to spiritual attacks, she would not be helpless. As expected, she changed to light element attacks. This time, the response was effective. The sly spirits' illusionary figures were restrained by the light element. Luo Yao's light body jumped between the huge beasts. Everywhere she went, only corpses were left. Second transformation, third transformation, fourth transformation, fifth transformation. The fifth transformation sly spirits suddenly changed. Other than their attributes being greatly increased, they were also immune to light element attacks. Limitless way of the sword, formless. Luo Yao quickly changed her strategy and changed to physical attacks. It is not just sword manipulation? The general on the cliff squinted his eyes. Sword manipulation and sword manipulation dual cultivation? The sly spirits were immune to light element attacks, but Luo Yao could not produce an attribute that could counter dark element attacks. Between these sly spirits whose speed and attack were greatly increased, close-range physical attacks were definitely dancing on the tip of a knife. 9 Palace Flower Shifting. Luo Yao's body movements were mysterious. Every time, she used the smallest movement to fight for the greatest initiative. Against the fifth transformation sly spirits, Luo Yao was still at ease. However, Lu Chen, Atai, and Xiaohui did not relax. They all knew that this battle was not even the beginning. At most, it was just an appetizer. Because the eight-eyed ghoul had not moved yet. And Lu Chen did not dare to be careless. He kept staring at the eight-eyed ghoul. Its occasional movement attracted Lu Chen's attention. The eight-eyed ghoul stretched its neck and looked at the sky with its scarlet eyes. A cloud slowly moved across the sky, revealing the bright moon. The full moon was about to reach the top of the canyon. Roar. With an angry roar, the eight-eyed ghoul roared at the sky, as if urging the full moon to move faster. A few minutes later, the sly spirits had entered the seventh transformation. At this time, the battle had become extremely terrifying. Black shadows shuttled around Luo Yao quickly. Especially in the dark, their camouflage was at its peak. It was impossible to catch them with the naked eye. With such speed, even Lu Chen himself would have to use all his strength to deal with it. And at this time, the bright moon finally reached the top of the canyon. The eight-eyed ghoul let out a long roar, venting its anger after waiting for so long. Then its roar became hoarse. When it lowered its head, Lu Chen's heart tightened. The eight-eyed ghoul's 8 eyes turned into a pitch-black fog in an instant. Even its pupils disappeared. Then right before Lu Chen's eyes, the eight-eyed ghoul disappeared. Lu Chen finally understood. The so-called demon was the eight-eyed ghoul. It was just that on the night of the full moon, the eight-eyed ghoul mutated. Eight-eyed ghoul. Lu Chen looked at Luo Yao, who was no longer as relaxed as before. His heart tightened. Chapter 835. The eight-eyed ghost's movement could no longer be judged by common sense. Its body turned into a cloud of mist and disappeared on the spot. In the blink of an eye, black smoke appeared beside Luo Yao. Immediately after, the eight-eyed ghost's huge body condensed in front of her. This movement, it's basically a flickering movement. Atai's eyes widened. It's so fast, this is definitely not a first-rank transformation. Lu Chen shook his head. It shouldn't be. I can feel that its strength far surpasses the peak rank 7 ghouls around it. If this is only a first-rank transformation, then it's definitely not one of the 7 demon beast generals. The night of the full moon not only strengthened it, it also entered the 8th rank. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. The eight-eyed ghost's movement had become extremely strange. Its body seemed to have merged with the black smoke. When it moved and attacked, it was impossible to defend against. Luo Yao had already noticed the eight-eyed ghost's change. Seeing the ghost's attack, she used 9 palace flower steps and moved quickly to avoid it getting close to her. At this time, most of the ghouls around her had already entered the 7th rank. They were all extremely fast. In an instant, the battlefield became a blur and the intensity of the battle suddenly increased. Ghouls were originally stronger than ordinary creatures. Martial King and the 4 Azuras could only kill 3 rank 7 demonic beasts at once. Now Luo Yao was facing 32 ghouls alone, and they were all peak rank 7 at that. Luo Yao was much stronger than Martial King and the rest, but in such a dangerous environment, the pressure Luo Yao was under was unimaginable. If it was anyone else, they would have died long ago. Luo Yao's current strategy was to avoid the eight-eyed ghost and kill the ghouls one by one. However, this plan was already extremely difficult to execute. The ghost was the same as the 8 tails. It could speak human language. I didn't expect you to have some strength. Unfortunately, in front of me, you only have one path, and that is death. 8 directions as one. The ghost hunter once again turned into a black fog. The black fog moved around Luo Yao and locked Luo Yao in the center. In an instant, 8 streaks of black mist shot toward the center at the same time. Luo Yao's 9 palace flower steps was locked. Seeing the 8 clones of the eight-eyed ghost about to attack, Luo Yao's eyes shone. Soul body as one. Luo Yao finally used soul body as one. In an instant, a violent storm of golden spiritual energy erupted from the center of the battlefield, forcing the eight-eyed evil spirit to retreat. When the spiritual energy dissipated, the woman in the field seemed to have changed into another person. She was clad in silver armor. Her slender figure did not make her look bloated even though she was clad in armor. Her white cloak fluttered behind her. That is the Imperial Advent set. The general watching the battle from the cliff stared at the Luo Yao war spirit in shock. It's definitely the Lin set. Imperial Advent set, purple firmament breaking night. That woman is the East Mountain Jade Empress. The deputy general beside him was already out of his wits. The East Mountain Jade Empress? How is this possible? How could she come to the White Lion Nation alone? This time we're done for. That's one of the strongest 5th celestial layer. We were rude to her before. I'm afraid we won't be able to keep our lives. General, should we help her? The general suppressed the fear in his heart and swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva. His gaze was fixed on the woman on the field. It was said that the Jade Emperor could fight against an army by herself. She had killed countless people. Her strength was terrifying, and she did not show any mercy. East Mountain Nation and White Lion Nation had not fought for decades. Now that the situation in the 5th celestial layer had changed, no nation wanted to be the first to be involved in a war. Earlier, he had personally given the order to stop them from entering the city. If she survived, regardless of whether she attacked him directly or reported it to the higher-ups, he would definitely die. Wait. The general's breathing was somewhat hurried. He was making an extremely important decision. Don't forget, we did not let them enter the city. According to her temper, if she survives, we will die. The deputies looked at each other. They had long heard that the Jade Emperor was cold and heartless. The general's eyes flashed with ruthlessness as he said resolutely, "So what if she is the Jade Emperor? No matter how strong she is, can she defeat 32 peak stage rank 7 sly ghosts and demonized 8-eyed hounds? As long as she dies, no one will know that we did not let her enter the city. Hearing this, the others were enlightened. The general took a deep breath. Fortunately, he was still calm. He had made a wrong decision earlier. The consequences were unimaginable. Jade Emperor? Even if you are the Jade Emperor, you will die on this full moon night. Monarch Domain. Unlimited battle intent. Heaven bestowed Monarch Star. 2-star sword controlling star physique. Luo Yao shouted. Her body was surrounded by large amounts of purple spirit energy as she disappeared instantly. Sword path limitless swordless. Ice element conversion. Luo Yao was still holding back. The sly ghosts were immune to spirit attacks and light elements. Luo Yao was still holding on to an ice element. She would only use it when the sly ghosts reached rank 7. Clearly, she was very clear that if she used the ice element too early, the sly ghosts would develop resistance. This woman's mind had always been very clear. In an instant, Luo Yao's figure turned into sword energy. The sword energy swept through the rank 7 sly ghosts like breaking rotten wood. In just an instant, Luo Yao had already killed 10 rank 7 sly ghosts. The moment she landed, the 8-eyed ghost had already caught up. Luo Yao turned around and slashed, temporarily forcing the 8-eyed ghost to retreat. Sword path limitless swordless. The third time, the 32 peak stage rank 7 sly ghosts were all killed. This time, they were finally willing to die obediently. At this moment, the strongest move of sword path limitless, swordless, only had 3 uses in reserve. Now all of them were used up. And now, there was only one enemy left on the battlefield. And also the most terrifying one, the 8-eyed ghost. In the previous battle, Luo Yao had been avoiding direct contact with it. Now she could no longer avoid it. Luo Yao was very tired. After such a long time, she did not have much spirit energy left. Most importantly, the opponent had not even shown his true strength. The night wind blew, making her feel a little chilly. Under the moonlight, Luo Yao turned to look at Lu Chen. Her voice was a little tired. Why are you still here? This time, I'm afraid you won't have the chance to loot the corpses. Lu Chen was stunned for a moment. That's right. It wasn't the first time he had stood aside and watched Luo Yao fight. It was the same when she ate the Nightwalkers. At that time he was busy looting the corpses. Nameless, take Tai and his daughter and leave. This guy is too strong. I don't know how long I can last. Lu Chen shook his head. It's not like I won't leave alone. If you want to leave, we'll leave together. Luo Yao's face that was filled with killing intent and blood showed a rare gratified smile. Although that guy's words were so stupid, if it was in the past, if a subordinate said this, he would definitely be scolded. But for some reason, she did not want to scold him now. Instead, there was a trace of warmth in her heart. Nameless, are you really that 1 in 10,000? What does a 5th layer have to go through? Maybe I won't have the chance to find the answer. Raising her hand, a metal shield appeared in Luo Yao's hand. Her front legs were slightly bent, one hand holding the shield and the other holding the sword, staring straight ahead. The 8-eyed ghost had already disappeared from her sight. And for the next attack, she must buy enough time. Chapter 836. Lowly humans, do you think you have hope after killing my men? Stop your futile struggle. In the dark night, a deep voice sounded. In front of me, you are as weak as ants. It's rare to meet someone who is slightly stronger, so I'll let you have a taste of this move. Lunar eclipse, dark side of the moon. The full moon hung high in the sky. Suddenly, the moonlight exploded. Everyone's vision was pierced at this moment. A beam of light fell from the Jiutian. No matter how fast Luo Yao's reaction was, she couldn't dodge it in time. All she could do was raise her shield to defend against this terrifying attack. This wasn't something a human could do. What kind of terrifying skill was lunar eclipse? With the protection of the immemorial imperial shield, although the spiritual energy didn't penetrate the shield, the huge pressure made Luo Yao unable to withstand it. Blood began to seep out of the corner of her mouth. In such a predicament, Luo Yao gritted her teeth and used this skill. Limitless Way of the Sword. Summon 4 sword gods. 4 huge spiritual bodies suddenly appeared beside Luo Yao. 3 men and 2 women stood around Luo Yao. As soon as they appeared, they realized that they were in the midst of a powerful spiritual energy attack. They quickly drew their swords from their waists and released countless sword auras into the sky. With the help of the 4 sword gods, Luo Yao was actually able to defend against this attack. Release the arrows. Right at this moment, countless arrows were fired from the cliff, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. Atai looked at the arrows blankly and said in surprise, "The guards are finally willing to help?" Lu Chen was puzzled. Why would the guards suddenly help? But on second thought, with their character, they wouldn't help at this time. No. The 8-eyed evil spirit's body is hard to track. How are they attacking? Lu Chen suddenly widened his eyes. Heavenly vision. The heavenly vision quickly showed the location of the arrows. The target was Luo Yao, who was resisting the lunar eclipse. At this moment, Lu Chen's eyes faintly emitted green fog. You bastards! Not only did they not let them enter the city and watch them die, but at this critical moment of life and death, they didn't shoot the demonic beasts but shot Luo Yao instead. At this moment, Luo Yao was definitely powerless to resist these arrows. Once she was hit, only defeat and death awaited her. Lu Chen's gaze swept across the distant night. That guy still hadn't shown up. However, he couldn't care less right now. Atai, take Xiaohui and hide. Be careful of those guards. Lu Chen said, then disappeared in a flash. On the cliff, the general's lips curled up slightly, his eyes revealing a sinister look. He snorted coldly. The Eastern Jade Empress? Wasn't he still going to die? Jade Emperor, don't blame me. I saw that you couldn't hold on any longer, so I decided to lend you a helping hand so that you can be free earlier. The deputy general said. If the Jade Empress is really dead, didn't we kill her? TSK, one of the strongest 5th heavenly layer actually died in our hands. This is something worth bragging about. Don't talk nonsense. The Jade Emperor was killed by the 8-eyed evil spirit. It has nothing to do with us. Oh, right. She was killed by the 8-eyed evil spirit. Once the Jade Emperor is dead, the rest of the small fries will definitely die in the hands of the 8-eyed evil spirit. No one will know about this matter anymore. This plan is really perfect. It's just a pity that the Jade Empress is such a beauty. Isn't that so? I didn't even dare to think about it before. Now that she's about to die, I suddenly feel that it's a pity. The general sneered and continued to enjoy the show. Luo Yao saw the rain of arrows from the corner of her eyes. She could tell that these arrows were coming for her. It's the guards. They actually wanted to kill me. Not only were they trying to silence me for fear of punishment, but it was also an order from the Baishur nation. However, she no longer had the strength to defend against these arrows. To be able to become the guards, these people were at least earth elementalists. She already couldn't pass through the dark side of the moon, let alone tens of thousands of earth elementalists. In order to prove the prophecy, she left the Dongyu kingdom and chased them all the way to the snowy mountains. The smell of roasted snow rabbits made them travel together. She saw Nameless friend and heard Shuer's story. She also saw Nameless cunning and viciousness. Interestingly, even though they were getting closer, she couldn't see that person clearly. Until now, she still couldn't determine whether that person was the person in the prophecy. Perhaps he was just one of the geniuses who rose in the flood of fate, and wasn't that different from the others. In the end, she still couldn't figure out the prophecy. Now it was easy to dodge a spear in the open but hard to defend against a stab in the dark. She had been on the battlefield for 100 years. Who would have thought that she would die in the hands of a villain in the end? She couldn't even fulfill the promise she had made previously. The sword god of 4 directions couldn't hold on any longer. The rain of arrows was approaching. Luo Yao's life seemed to be coming to an end. No, it's not over yet. 8-eyed, die with me. Spiritual core self-destruct. Luo Yao was preparing to unleash her most terrifying attack. Once her spiritual core exploded, the power would be unimaginable. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from afar. Idiot! Stop! Luo Yao looked toward the source of the voice and saw a red figure shooting toward them from 1,000 meters away, like a ball of fire. Don't give up. I'm all ears. Lu Chen made a grabbing motion. and a powerful suction force pulled Luo Yao toward Lu Chen. You want to run? 8 black demonic eyes flashed in the darkness. Die. 8 directions as one. It had to be said that 8-eyed was also very experienced in battle. Lu Chen was all ears, but he didn't provide any protection for Luo Yao. At this moment, Luo Yao had almost lost her ability to fight. If he used 8 directions as one and locked onto Luo Yao, even if Lu Chen rescued Luo Yao, he would only be carrying a cold corpse. You're courting death. Lu Chen shouted. Tiger descends the mountain. Triple door. Spiritual spatial cannon. 50 spiritual cannons fired directly at the 8 doppelgangers. With the help of the triple door, the spiritual cannons almost never missed. Boom, 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 boom. The 8 doppelgangers were blasted into 8 clouds of smoke. In the next moment, the rain of arrows fell on the place where Luo Yao was just a moment ago. Not only that, there were also a large number of arrows that were shot toward Luo Yao. Lu Chen snorted coldly, and a longbow appeared in his hand. This longbow wasn't a real thing, but an illusion. Flash. Rapid attack. Strongest bow. Whoosh. 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 Hundreds of black crystal arrows shot out, shooting down those arrows. However, time was short, and there seemed to be a strong opponent on the other side. Some of the arrows couldn't be shot down. In the next second, Lu Chen hugged Luo Yao with one hand and turned around. 10 arrows pierced through his back, and the sharp arrowheads pierced through his chest. Blood gushed out from Lu Chen's chest. Luo Yao lay in Lu Chen's arms, looking at the arrows in horror. You're injured. Lu Chen smiled and gently placed Luo Yao under a tree. He looked at the wounds on his body. Just avoid the vital parts. I'm used to being heavily injured. After saying that, Lu Chen broke the broken arrow in his chest and pulled out another arrow from his back. Just nice, I don't like to fight with full HP. His gaze fell on the defenders on the cliff, and killing intent appeared. When I'm done here, none of them can escape. After saying that, Lu Chen turned around and walked slowly to the center of the battlefield. Another one who isn't afraid of death? The 8-eyed demon's voice sounded from all directions. Lu Chen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice, You're wrong. I'm very afraid of death. In order to not die so. Lu Chen's lips curled up, and then gradually stopped smiling. He said coldly, I can only let you die. Chapter 837. The guards on the cliff did not expect that someone would appear out of nowhere and rescue the Jade Empress. General, the Jade Empress is not dead. The deputy general was nervous. This was a matter of life and death. The general looked at Luo Yao, who was resting under the tree, and squinted his eyes. Don't worry. She is already at the end of her rope. Do you think that man can stop the 8-eyed evil spirit? Impossible. Although that guy seems to have some tricks up his sleeve, he is only a 7-star cultivator. Now that he is seriously injured, I don't think he can last more than a few seconds. That's it. Even if we don't kill the Jade Empress, don't forget who the owner of this canyon is. Just leave it to the 8-eyed evil spirit. The general's words reassured the subordinate. The 8-eyed evil spirit was several times stronger than usual when it was under a full moon. There was nothing to worry about. Luo Yao had forced herself to eat the dark side of the moon. Her body was about to fall apart. Now she could only struggle to sit up and lean against the tree while looking at Lu Chen's back. Atai and Xiaohui rushed to Luo Yao. The father and daughter stood beside Luo Yao to prevent the guards from attacking her. Despicable man. Not only did he not save her, he even hit her when she was down. Atai said angrily. Luo Yao looked at the father and daughter. Although their strength was not worth mentioning in her eyes, she could feel that they were trying their best to protect her. Luo Yao suddenly thought of Lu Chen's principle of choosing friends. He only looked at their character and not their strength. She understood it now. These weak people were much more adorable than some people. Luo Yao looked at the battlefield again, and took a deep breath. She knew the nameless evil spirit's other name, solipsistic. She had heard of the solipsistic evil spirit's achievements. Among millions of people he was the first. Although she did not know whether he had obtained Nuwa's treasure or not. He was the only one who had the chance to get close to Nuwa's soul remnant. This was not something an ordinary person could do. Without using soul body as one, he defeated the 5 experts of the Martial Imperial Mansion in 3 seconds. This proved that his strength was not as simple as it seemed. However, on the other hand, everything Luo Yao knew was only hearsay. She had never seen solipsistic in action. In Luo Yao's heart, no matter how strong the solipsistic was, it was impossible for him to be stronger than her. Perhaps in the end, they would still not be able to escape the fate of dying in the Demon Eye Valley. But at this moment, she felt much more at ease. When solipsistic used his body to block those arrows for her, when he put her down and turned around to walk towards the 8-eyed evil spirit, she seemed to have finally come into contact with a trace of solipsistic, a complete and utter lunatic. Atai Xiaohui, hurry up and leave, Luo Yao said weakly. Maybe there's still a chance of survival. Atai looked at Luo Yao in surprise. Miss Luo Yao, how could you say something like that? Nameless won't be able to stop the 8-eyed evil spirit. That guy can draw upon the power of moonlight. It's not something a human can handle. Luo Yao said. Sister Luo Yao, we won't leave. If we live together. If we die together. Xiao Hui said firmly. We're not afraid of death. We'll never leave Brother Nameless behind. Yes, Miss Luo Yao, I'm sorry. We can't listen to you this time. Being able to get to know the 2 of them before they die. Atai and shall we also understand that not all the cultivators in this world are so cold-blooded and heartless. Even if we die, we'll die without regrets. Atai sighed, but the look in his eyes was incomparably resolute. It seemed that there was no way to convince the father and daughter. Lu Yao smiled and shook her head. Had she changed? Had she started to care about the lives of these lowly subjects? If that was the case, then the culprit behind everything was that guy. Luo Yao looked at the field again. Solipsistic was standing in the middle of the field. Blood was still gushing out of his back. Fortunately, he was wearing red clothes, so it wasn't too obvious. Nameless. The 8-eyed evil spirit was stronger than the 8-tailed evil spirit. And the 8-eyed evil spirit's strength had doubled again. The opponent Lu Chen was facing now was without a doubt the strongest opponent he had ever faced. Moreover, it seemed that the 8-eyed evil spirit wasn't the only one that Lu Chen feared. In this battle, Lu Chen was in an unprecedentedly difficult situation. The 8-eyed evil spirit had actually revealed its true form. Its huge body stood in front of Lu Chen. Its 8 eyes rotated irregularly, as if it was sizing up Lu Chen from all directions. 7-star wild cultivator? Ha 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 ha. I thought you were some kind of expert. How dare you speak so arrogantly? Kid, are you trying to make me laugh to death? Do you still want to learn from that woman and not use soul body as one? The 8-eyed fiend's tone was full of mockery. That woman must be one of the top cultivators among you cultivators. Even she activated soul body as one the moment she faced me. But you, a mere 7-star cultivator, are still standing there, not knowing what's good for you? Lu Chen looked at the 8-eyed evil spirit indifferently. Then let's see if you have the ability to see my soul body as one. Ha ha ha. I really don't know where your confidence comes from. I've seen many crazy people, but at least they have some real skills. To think that a piece of trash like you would dare to be so arrogant. This is the first time I've seen such a thing. Lu Chen snorted coldly. The 8-tailed evil spirit said the same thing before. At the mention of the 8-tailed evil spirit, the 8-eyed evil spirit suddenly paused. The 8-tailed evil spirit had already fallen. This matter had been confirmed by the magical beast army long ago, but they had never found out who killed the 8-tailed evil spirit. And this guy actually brought it up at this time. This made people associate the 8-tailed evil spirit's death with him. The 8-tailed evil spirit. It can't be that you killed it, right? Lu Chen smiled slightly. I suggest you ask it directly. The 8-eyed evil spirit's eyes glinted fiercely, black fog suddenly erupting from its eyes. You're asking for death. In an instant, the 8-eyed evil spirit's body entered the black fog state. Moon celestial form. So this was a celestial form. Logically speaking, Lu Chen's divine demon celestial form could easily suppress the opponent's celestial form. However, The recovery of the divine demon's celestial form was too slow, lasting only a few seconds. Once used, if the guy guarding the spirit vein appeared, Lu Chen would be in extreme danger. Whatever celestial form, he had to save it for last. Divine demon symbiosis. Lu Chen's body exploded with chaotic spiritual energy. His black hair was stained with frost, dancing in the wind. His body grew slightly taller. Red robe and white hair, even in the middle of the night, still stood out. Luo Yao was stunned for a moment. How did that guy suddenly become so handsome? And what's with that pair of ears? God of War possession. Demon transformation. Dragon blood boil. 3 lives reincarnation. There was no need to use Deathland anymore. The previous attack by the defending army had already helped Lu Chen save this round. The madness passive was already in effect, and there was no need to reduce his HP. Lu Chen spat out a mouthful of blood. He raised one hand, and a black and white double-colored sword was drawn from the void. The moment the limitless divinity appeared, the purple firmament breaking night beside Luo Yao suddenly trembled. Luo Yao stared at Zixia with wide eyes, then looked at the long sword in Lu Chen's hand. Her eyes were filled with shock. To actually make purple firmament shattering night feel danger. That sword, just what sword is it? Chapter 838. The infinite celestial demon sword was different from purple firmament breaking night. It did not have a scabbard. It was formed by heaven and earth were the scabbard. At that moment, the 8-eyed evil spirit had already launched its attack. Lunar eclipse, 100 ghosts parade. In an instant, the 8-eyed evil spirit's speed increased again. It was already in front of Lu Chen in an instant. The black smoke condensed into a solid body and clawed at Lu Chen's face. The evil spirit's speed was so fast that it exceeded a human's reaction speed. If not for Lu Chen's celestial eyes, he would not have been able to catch the evil spirit's attack. I'll show you the difference in strength between us. Die. Even Luo Yao, who was in soul-body unification, did not dare to take the evil spirit's attack head-on. Moreover, Lu Chen had not activated soul-body unification, and was heavily injured. He could not withstand the evil spirit's attack. Even if Lu Chen was prepared, he still had to increase his speed to the maximum. 9 void steps. Stepping on the void, Lu Chen instantly moved. The miniature vortex formed under his feet pushed the evil spirit's attack away, buying him some time to dodge. Run? Do you think you can run? Lunar eclipse refraction. Lu Chen was already dozens of meters away from the evil spirit, but suddenly, his celestial eyes saw a surge of spiritual energy flashing at an unbelievable speed in front of Lu Chen. The black smoke condensed again, and a huge figure loomed in front of Lu Chen. Lu Chen's eyes widened. This guy was too fast. Even a skill like rapid movement would be intercepted by it while it was moving at high speed. Triple gate. Lu Chen quickly teleported away. However, the evil spirit followed him like a shadow. It felt like it appeared at Lu Chen's landing spot at the same time. When Lu Chen stopped, it was ready to attack. Oh my god, that's fast. That's the real body. Atai's eyes widened. To be honest, he could not see the trajectory of Lu Chen and the evil spirit even if he widened his eyes. All he saw was a frozen image without the process. The two of them had only just exchanged blows, but their speed was already so fast that it was impossible for the naked eye to catch them. Luo Yao couldn't help but take a deep breath. Ghost Hunter's close combat ability is really strong. Lu Chen was also under a lot of pressure. The 8-eyed ghost demon was too fast, his nerves were already extremely tense, but he was still unable to get rid of the 8-eyed ghost demon. Every time he landed on the ground, it was time for the other party to launch an attack. Under such circumstances, it was already good enough that Lu Chen could dodge, let alone counterattack. So fast that I don't have time to use my moves. Lunar eclipse, forbidden moon. 8-eyed suddenly used another skill. With a boom, hundreds of pillars of light suddenly erupted from the ground, shooting straight into the sky and converging towards the full moon overhead. Only now did Lu Chen realize that the other party had actually set up an array formation in the pursuit just now. Lu Chen's mind raced. His opponent was in an astral state, which didn't have to rely on skills or battle pets. However, the astral state wasn't invulnerable. As long as Lu Chen had a chance to attack, he could force his opponent out of the astral state. More importantly, he didn't have time to use any skills while moving at such a high speed. Besides, Lu Chen didn't know the effects of the Forbidden Moon yet. He didn't have any debuffs on him, and his skills weren't disabled. He didn't know what the other party was up to. The pillars of light had disappeared. But Lu Chen noticed that a large amount of spirit energy was flowing from the full moon to the ground, forming an invisible wall of spirit energy around him. Unlike the wall of spirit energy left by the heaven patching palm, this wall of spirit energy was flowing at a high speed. He didn't even have to think about it. If he rashly touched the wall of spirit energy, the consequences would be unimaginable. Was the Forbidden Moon only imprisoning him? Lu Chen didn't have time to think about it. The ghost hunter was coming at him again. Lu Chen quickly used his all-seeing eyes to locate the ghost hunter, and used the triple gate to distance himself. Lu Chen had just dodged when the ghost hunter chased after him again. "Kid, I didn't know that you're so fast. I've underestimated you. You're definitely stronger than a 7-star cultivator." The ghost hunter's voice came from behind him. "I still have to thank you. If you hadn't mentioned the 8 tails, I might have been careless. But since you've mentioned it, I'll have to be careful. Unfortunately, in my forbidden land of the moon formation, you will slowly experience what despair is." After saying that, the ghost hunter turned into black smoke again, and instantly caught up to Lu Chen. Just as Lu Chen was about to use the triple gate to dodge, he suddenly realized that the previously normal triple gate couldn't be used anymore. Fortunately, Lu Chen reacted quickly and replaced it with 9 void steps, barely dodging the ghost hunter's claw. Since Lu Chen had just changed his skill, his speed was a bit slower. The ghost hunter's claw brushed past Lu Chen's body and slashed down. With a boom, a black smoke tore a huge crack in the ground. It was 100 meters long and 4 to 5 meters wide. Seeing this, Atai's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Large beads of sweat had already seeped out of his forehead. A casual attack actually carried such a terrifying amount of spirit energy and tore the ground apart. If this attack had landed on the nameless brother, it would have torn him apart. It turned out that every time the nameless brother dodged, it was a brush with death. Lu Chen gradually began to pant. The chase just now had consumed too much of his stamina and spirit energy. Spirit energy could be replenished with Spirit Energy Storm, but stamina couldn't be recovered. Should he activate Soul Body as one? Not only was the 8-eyed ghost hunter powerful, but he had also activated the 7 transformations of God and Demon symbiosis. His attributes had doubled compared to when he was fighting 6-tailed. He actually didn't end up in such a sorry state. Not only was the 8-eyed ghost hunter powerful, but he was also very cautious. He didn't underestimate Lu Chen just because of his level. He was definitely a difficult opponent. Letting out a long breath, Lu Chen adjusted his breathing. At least he hadn't been hit yet. With the 8-eyed ghost hunter's current state, he could hide in the darkness at any time. His speed was also unimaginably fast. The Sacred Lotus Sword Heart's damage was terrifying, but the problem was that even with the triple gate and the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart, it was difficult to hit him. What's more, the triple gate was now forbidden by the Forbidden Moon. And in the Forbidden Moon, Lu Chen also discovered that the 9 void steps was also forbidden. To be more precise, it wasn't the same as before the 4th celestial stage. Instead, it was because the spirit core couldn't circulate the spirit energy in the corresponding way, causing the skill to be unable to be used. In other words, this was a type of formation that blocked the meridians, causing the flow of spirit energy to be blocked. Even if he changed to the primal chaos element, he couldn't break through the formation's seal on the meridians. The only good news was that Lu Chen seemed to have figured out the Forbidden Moon's function. As long as he used a move in this area, the Forbidden Land would understand the flow of his meridians and interfere, causing the skill to be sealed. The triple gate and 9 void steps were normal before, but after the Forbidden Moon took effect, he used each of them once and was sealed. If this continued, once the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart couldn't hit him, then even if he had 4 reserves, he still wouldn't be able to use them. "Brat, your time of death has come." The demon ghost's voice sounded again. "Come, Offer your blood to my blood moon. He didn't pause in between as he continued to attack the last clone. Seeing this, Atai was already dumbfounded. That fellow, the eight-eyed evil spirit, is too monstrous. I don't even have the chance to rest when fighting against it. Even I can't withstand its attacks, let alone Brother Nameless, who is only a 7-star wild cultivator. At this moment, Luo Yao was both nervous and angry. Solipsistic's combat strength had already far surpassed a 7-star wild cultivator's combat ability. Although Solipsistic didn't have the chance to fight back, in such a high-intensity mobile station, even the slightest bit of carelessness would have killed Solipsistic. In Luo Yao's opinion, he was already very strong for being able to survive until now. However, what made her angry was that at this time, he still hadn't used soul-body fusion. This was really making her anxious. Nameless, you're using soul-body fusion. If you don't use it now, you'll die. Don't you want to take us out? Luo Yao shouted at Lu Chen angrily. Lu Chen didn't have the time to respond to Luo Yao. Under the effects of the Forbidden Moon, he only had one movement skill, and it was the lowest level, rapid movement. Even the 2 avatars of the Buddha body clone were instantly killed. He only had one main body, one low-level movement skill, one main body and one life. Even if he activated soul-body fusion, he might not have another chance. Unless he used Divine Devil Astral Body. However, he definitely couldn't use Divine Devil Astral Body. Go to hell. Eight-eyed strengthening. Lunar eclipse. Heart of the moon. In this life and death struggle, Eight-eyed unexpectedly increased its speed again, as if it wanted to finish off this troublesome opponent in one blow. On the top of the cliff, General smiled faintly. It's over. I've never seen Eight-eyed use lunar eclipse, but I've seen Eight-eyed strengthening. Lunar eclipse should be a skill that the demon ghost could only use after it mutated. It seemed to be a skill strengthened by the power of the moon, and it had already displayed its terrifying destructive power. However, even if Eight-eyed hadn't mutated, it was still extremely powerful, which was why it had been able to dominate such a large area like Demon Eye Valley for so long. Eight-eyed strengthening was the eight-eyed demonic beast's strongest enhancement skill in its normal state. It doubled its speed. After it mutated, its speed doubled again. It was obvious how terrifying that speed was. No wonder General was so sure that the battle was over. Bastard, use soul-body fusion. Luo Yao was almost screaming. How could an expert like her not see that the demon ghost was determined to win this time? At this moment Lu Chen, who hadn't responded to Luo Yao for a long time, suddenly shouted angrily, "Shut up!" Luo Yao was dumbfounded. That guy actually yelled at her. She was the Jade Emperor. Even if he didn't know her identity, she was doing it for his own good. Luo Yao looked at the battlefield in horror. He killed the eight-eyed evil spirit. Oh my god. At this moment, Luo Yao suddenly felt that all her doubts could be explained. Why was he the only one who was able to kill his way out of millions of people fighting for the treasure? Why was he able to save Shui? Why did he dare to go to the royal city? Why was he able to defeat the 5 experts of the martial imperial manor in just 3 seconds? Without using soul body as one, he was able to insta-kill the eight-eyed evil spirit. This kind of strength was simply crazy. Atai and Xiaohui were so frightened that they were speechless. This guy who kept calling him Brother Tai, who was completely like the boy next door, actually possessed such terrifying combat strength. My god, I can't believe my eyes. Nameless brother killed the eight-eyed evil spirit. Lu Chen wasn't interested in the crowd's astonishment at this moment. The intense pain that came from his body made him tremble all over. At the same time, he also knew that the person he was waiting for was most likely going to appear soon. Little Green. Cough cough cough. My arm. Lu Chen summoned Little Green. Little Green hurriedly picked up Lu Chen's left arm from the ground. If he could reattach his arm in a short period of time, Lu Chen still had hope to recover. However, when Lu Yi picked up his arm, she discovered that there was a burst of black mist coming out of the cut. Following that, the broken arm muscles were necrotic. Boss! Lu Yi's eyes were red. She looked at Lu Chen with heartache. The sly spirit's attack should have carried the dark attribute. Your body has spiritual energy protecting it, so your muscles won't be necrotic. However, your broken arm. Lu Chen took a deep breath and glanced at his broken arm. His arm couldn't be reattached. He had also broken his arm before, but this time, it was his main body that was broken. The damage to the main body of a fifth celestial layer was different from that of a fourth celestial layer. If the main body of a fourth celestial layer was injured, Lu Chen's main body would definitely be lying in the game cabin. It was just that the nerve connection was broken. Using a body recovery type pill could heal the main body without leaving any damage. However, in a fifth celestial layer, the one fighting now was Lu Chen's main body. A broken arm couldn't be regrown by relying on pills. This also meant that Lu Chen had really lost an arm. Lu Chen's heart ached. He trembled and said, "Can it be recovered?" He still had a glimmer of hope in his heart. The hope in Lu Chen's eyes made Lu Yi even more uncomfortable. "Boss, with the current pill technique I have, I can't recover it for the time being," Lu Yi said as tears flowed down. Boss still had many unimaginably powerful enemies, and in this battle he had lost his left arm. In the future, would he have to face those powerful enemies with only one arm? "Boss, don't be sad. I know there are pills that can regenerate the body. Although I can't refine it now, I will work hard. I will definitely refine it." Lu Chen reluctantly squeezed out a smile and said weakly, "It's okay. Take your time. Jiutian has endless opportunities. It's just losing an arm. It's not a big deal." Anyone could see that Lu Chen was actually very worried about his arm. Anyone who lost a part of their body would not be indifferent. Some people who woke up and found out that they had been amputated would even seek death. However, Boss was still comforting him. "Boss, first eat these pills. I will help you stop the bleeding." Even though Little Green was trying its best to hold back its tears, 2 streams of tears still flowed down its cheeks uncontrollably. Little Green quickly treated Lu Chen's wound. "Little Green, go and find the beast core." Little Green hurriedly turned around and found the 8-eyed beast core in the mud-like flesh. This beast core was an 8 transformation beast core. However, there seemed to be some differences. Unfortunately, there was not much time to examine it now. Lu Chen directly kept the beast core. There were still many 7 transformation beast cores around, but Lu Chen did not have time to pick them up. "Let's go back. I feel that guy is coming out." Lu Chen's tone was very calm, but it made Lu Yi's heart ache even more. Boss still had to face an even more terrifying opponent in this state. Luo Yao and the others might not know why Boss did not use soul body as one. But she knew. Boss's opponent had never been the 8-eyed beast core. His opponent was the guardian of the demon pupil valley, one of the 4 heavenly kings of the demonic beasts. Chapter 841. Lu Chen recalled Lu Yi. Seeing that Luo Yao and the rest wanted to come over, he shouted, "Don't come over." Luo Yao looked at Lu Chen in surprise. "What's wrong with this guy?" Lu Chen took a deep breath and turned around. He looked at the forest in the night and said calmly, "What? You don't dare to come out?" Everyone was very surprised. They didn't know who Nameless was talking to. At this moment, the ground suddenly began to shake. In the dark night, a pair of red eyes suddenly lit up. A surge of spiritual energy instantly engulfed the whole place. Some people who were unprepared were directly thrown to the ground. Boom, 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 boom. The ground shook rhythmically. Rocks fell, and heaven and earth trembled. A voice so low that it made one's hair stand on end sounded. "Solipsistic, even if you don't say it, I know what you're trying to do." Luo Yao looked at the pair of red eyes in horror. There was actually another guy hiding in the dark? She didn't even notice at first. Looking at the figure, it should be a demonic beast. But what kind of demonic beast could make the 8-eyed ghoul take the lead while it calmly hid in the night? Wasn't this the 8-eyed ghoul's territory? Luo Yao was indeed the Jade Emperor. She quickly understood. There were only 5 demonic beasts that could make the 8-eyed ghoul, one of the 7 demonic beast generals, take the lead. The demonic beast 4 heavenly kings and the demonic beast sovereign. The demonic beast sovereign was said to have died in battle. Then only those 4 guys were left. After figuring out the other party's identity, Luo Yao didn't relax at all. Instead, her heart that had just settled down became even more anxious than before. The demonic beast 4 heavenly kings? They disappeared for thousands of years without any news. The 5th heaven generally thought that the 4 heavenly kings and the demonic beast sovereign had died in battle. But now there was actually one here? No wonder Nameless was unwilling to use soul body as one even when she almost died in battle. First of all, using soul body as one to deal with the 8-eyed ghoul wouldn't change much. The main thing that soul body as one increased attributes. In the Forbidden Moonland, skills were banned. Activating soul body as one was useless. Nameless attack could kill the 8-eyed ghoul, even if she didn't use soul body as one. In other words, there wouldn't be any difference whether the soul body fusion was activated or not. On the other hand, and most importantly, Nameless knew that he had an even stronger opponent coming up. Fighting this guy without any trump cards was no different from courting death. Could it really be? The doubts in Luo Yao's heart were solved one by one. Only now did she realize that she had not seen the situation clearly. Her gaze fell on Nameless' back, and her heart tightened. Did Nameless still have the strength to fight? The huge black figure had already walked out of the darkness. Everyone could finally see this fellow's true appearance. Qilin. A pitch-black black Qilin. Atai's eyes widened. Black. Black Qilin. Little Hui was a little puzzled. Father, in terms of bloodline, Qilins don't seem to be particularly powerful. Atai shook his head. There are many kinds of Qirins. It is said that there are 2 ways to judge a Qirin's strength. One is to look at the number of colors on its body. A 3-colored Qirin is not as good as a 2-colored one, and a 2-colored one is not as good as a single-colored one. Secondly, if there are the same number of colors, it is based on the depth of the color. The darker the color, the stronger the Qirin. This Qirin is a rare single-colored black Qirin. It is extremely rare even among the Qirin mythical beasts. Its bloodline level is not inferior to the ultimate mythical beasts. After hearing her father's explanation, Little Hui finally understood what kind of existence Nameless was facing now. On the cliff, the general could not help but tremble. It's that fellow. The 4 heavenly kings of the magical beasts. Why would it appear here? No, isn't it already dead? Why is it still alive? Facing the Black Qilin, the defending army did not even have the courage to fight now. It was said that during the Great War of Gods and Demons, the 4 heavenly kings of the magical beasts had no opponents at all. Magical Beast Sovereign did not even need to do anything. The magical beast army had almost wiped out half of the level 5 heaven in 2 months. Even the 7 ancient war gods did not dare to fight the 4 heavenly kings alone. However, it was said that the 4 heavenly kings of the magical beasts had disappeared together with magical beast sovereign. They had disappeared for thousands of years, and people even thought that they had long ceased to exist. But who knew that one of the 4 heavenly kings, the Black Qilin, would actually appear outside Peacock City at this moment? When facing this monstrous ferocious beast, even if it was thousands of meters away, it still made people feel an incomparable pressure. It was as if they were being stared at by the Grim Reaper. However, the Fire Qilin did not care about the others now. Its eyes were fixed on the white-haired, one-armed man in front of it. Lu Chen looked at this giant beast indifferently. Is it one of the 4 heavenly kings of the magical beasts? It feels so strong. How is its strength compared to magical beast sovereign? Damn this mission of mine. Lu Chen shook his head and could not help but complain. The Black Qilin seemed to have known about Lu Chen long ago. It even called him solipsistic. Solipsistic, do you want to open the spirit vein? The Black Qilin was not in a hurry to attack. Lu Chen looked up at the Black Qilin. What do you think? The Black Qilin said. Your temper is quite stubborn. Unfortunately, your strength is not proportional to your temper. If this is all you have, you might as well let me kill you directly. Lu Chen smiled. Don't worry, I have specially saved the best for you. The Black Qilin opened its mouth and seemed to be laughing. Ha 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 ha, you still have a trump card? Oh right, I forgot that you have not activated soul body as one. You should have specially prepared it for me. Lu Chen snorted coldly. The black Qilin suddenly said, "Unfortunately, now is not the time to attack." Lu Chen frowned slightly. What did the black Qilin mean by this? Solipsistic. I heard that you escaped from the hands of that fellow. Interesting. I hope that when we meet again, you will not be so weak. That person? Lu Chen thought of Magical Beast Sovereign. When he had first discovered Magical Beast Sovereign, he had struggled free from that ball of black gas. This meant that he had also escaped from its hands once. Lu Chen frowned. What? You don't want to fight? A battle between you and me is unavoidable. Whether it can be avoided or not, it is not up to you to decide. The black Qilin's emotions did not waver. After saying that, the black Qilin's body suddenly erupted with pure black flames. At this moment, the black Qilin's body was emitting raging black flames, as if it was a black version of the fire Qilin. To be honest, I am looking forward to fighting with you. Perhaps there will be a battle between us, but not now. After saying that, black flames rose from the black Qilin's feet like a cloud of fire. I will leave the magic eye canyon to you, but you will not be able to protect the fifth layer of heaven. After saying that, the black Qilin rushed into the sky and disappeared into the night. Lu Chen was shocked. The four heavenly kings that he had been waiting for actually did not want to fight with him? What the hell was going on? Damn it! Why didn't you say that you were not going to fight? If you had said so, I would not have lost an arm. Lu Chen could not help but curse. The black Qilin had already disappeared, and he did not know if it had hurt him. But then again, what did the black Qilin's last sentence mean? It could choose not to guard the Magic Eye Canyon, but to seize the world. Chapter 842. Lu Chen did not quite understand the meaning of the last sentence. It seemed that this matter needed further consideration. Lu Chen's highly strung nerves suddenly relaxed at this moment. Only then did he realize how serious his injuries were. Luo Yao and the others rushed over to support Lu Chen. Nameless. Lu Chen's gaze swept over the guards on the cliff. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and his originally relaxed body suddenly tensed up. Let's leave this place first. Luo Yao said. Wait a moment, there's still one more thing to take care of. Lu Chen's tone was cold. Move aside first. Lu Chen took a few steps forward, facing the tens of thousands of guards on his own. Seeing this, the general narrowed his eyes slightly. What is this guy doing? Lu Chen's gaze immediately locked onto the general, and he said in a low voice, A bunch of despicable people, it's time to settle our accounts. Fierce tiger descends the mountain. Suppressive fire. In the next second, Lu Chen had already made his move. After 4 consecutive suppressive fire, hundreds of spiritual energy spatial cannons wildly shot through the night, shooting from the valley to the peak of the cliff that was hundreds of meters high. Boom boom boom. A series of terrifying explosions erupted on the cliff. Damn it, he actually... The general's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. This guy who was already missing an arm clearly looked like an arrow at the end of its flight, but he actually deliberately stayed behind to kill them. Most of these people were at the Earth Cultivation Realm, and some of the generals were at the Emperor Cultivation Realm. However, the damage from the spiritual energy spatial cannons was still enough to kill them. The thousands of guards did not even have time to activate soul-body fusion before they were instantly killed. Lunatic, he's really a lunatic. Quick, activate the city's defensive formation. That lunatic actually wanted to kill the guards. A strong sense of fear finally appeared in the general's eyes. This guy in front of him was not a cripple. He was even more terrifying than the 8-eyed evil spirit. The city's defensive formation was quickly activated outside Peacock City. This formation was specially made to defend against the 8-eyed evil spirit. Even the 8-eyed evil spirit on a full moon night had no interest in attacking this formation, which showed how terrifying its defensive power was. However, killing intent had already surged in Lu Chen's eyes. Without another word, he spread his wings and soared into the sky. How did he pass through the defender formation? The general couldn't help but take a few steps back, his eyes filled with fear. Those that flew up were here to take his life. General, this mountain gate is only on the outskirts of Peacock City. The defensive formation here is only meant to deal with devilish beasts, not cultivators. The deputy general was even calmer than him, and he stuttered as he explained. Only then did the general remember this point. The protective mountain array was completely ineffective against cultivators. The Magic Eye Valley was fraught with danger. No army would attack the Peacock City from the Magic Eye Valley in a fit of rage. In order to pursue the pinnacle of defense, the Magic Array masters who set up the formation naturally focused all their efforts on defending against the large magic beasts. But who would have thought that the one attacking the city today was an immortal cultivator? Lu Chen soared into the sky. Unexpectedly, it was very smooth. He didn't know if the Great Mountain Protection Array was successfully activated. With a triple door, Lu Chen climbed to a height parallel to the cliff. In the night, under the bright moon, a one-armed white-haired man with a pair of wings spread out behind him. His black eyes faintly emitted fog, like a demon. "You have been surrounded," Lu Chen said coldly. "Today none of you will survive. Tiger descends the mountain. Suppressive fire." Boom, 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 boom. The spiritual cannons fired wildly. Triple door. "I'm all ears." Amidst the frenzied explosions, the general suddenly felt a huge suction force coming from behind him. Then he was sucked into a stone door. In the next second, he was suspended in midair, and less than a meter in front of him was the white-haired man who looked like an Azura demon. Lu Chen grabbed his neck. "Did you enjoy our performance just now?" The general felt his entire body go soft. His hands tightly grabbed Lu Chen's wrist, and his eyes were filled with fear. Let me go. Yes, I was blind. It was me who was possessed. I'm sorry, White God." The surrounding soldiers had mixed feelings. They were indeed afraid of that man. After all, they had seen him instantly kill the eight-eyed evil spirit. What kind of strength was that? Even the Jade Emperor could not withstand it, and was killed instantly by that guy. However, what made them feel even more hopeless was that their general, a dignified emperor-level cultivator, did not have the courage to resist Lu Chen. Even their general did not dare to resist, let alone them. Many of the surrounding soldiers had already put down their weapons and no longer defended themselves. They knelt on the ground and shouted in unison. "White God, please spare us. It was the Guardian General who ordered us to shoot. Military orders are absolute. We dare not disobey. White God, please spare us. Please let us go. I have old and young at home." Lu Chen snorted coldly and ignored the soldiers for the time being. His gaze fell on the so-called Jinyuan general. White God. It seemed to be a new name, and Lu Chen did not like it very much. A dignified emperor-level cultivator only knows how to wag your tail and beg for mercy. Where's your arrogance from before? It turns out that you're just borrowing the power of the eight-eyed evil spirit to act like a coward. Yes, I am a coward. As long as White God can let me go. Lu Chen snorted. Someone like you can become a general. Your Peacock City is also trash. If the demonic beasts attack, I don't believe you can lead the troops to defend the city. Since that's the case, there's no need for you to live. Luo Yao looked up at Lu Chen in the air and frowned. Would this guy kill Jin Yuan? Speaking of which, in Royal City, King Wu and the others attacked first, and he showed mercy. Would he let these people go this time? At this moment, the godly demon Limitless Sword had already pierced through the man's heart. It pierced through his vitals. Zhen Yuan's mouth was wide open as he looked at the long sword in front of his chest in horror. Was this the unknown divine weapon? However, it had already pierced through his body. As Lu Chen pulled out the godly demon Limitless Sword inch by inch, Zhen Yuan could feel his life being sucked out of his body bit by bit. You. Lu Chen snorted and no longer looked at Zhen Yuan. He loosened his hand and Zhen Yuan fell from the sky. His gaze swept across the tens of thousands of defenders. Every one of them was so nervous that they couldn't breathe. This guy didn't hesitate to kill the general. But that didn't matter. What they cared about now was whether he would show mercy to them. Lu Chen looked at the hundreds of defenders indifferently. He narrowed his eyes and said coldly, "Since you said that military orders can't be disobeyed, then you should know that as defenders, even if you die in battle, You can't surrender to the enemy and live. I'll give you a chance. Didn't you say that there are old and young in the army? Well, either you block me now or wait for me to massacre Peacock City. As soon as these words came out, the minds of the kneeling soldiers instantly went blank. This person wants to massacre the city? 10 seconds. Escape or fight, you decide for yourselves. Lu Chen ignored their blank expressions and began the countdown. 10, 9, 8. Many people had already started to escape, but there were still many who stood up. Their relatives and friends were in the city. If this person killed his way to Peacock City, the consequences would be unimaginable. Even if they couldn't stop him, they had to at least delay him for a moment. My family is still in the city. I'll fight it out with you. If I escape now, how can I face the elders in the city? 1. The countdown ended. What no one expected was that even though Lu Chen had used 2 moves of the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart, his target was not the soldiers who were still on the canyon. Instead, his target was the people who had already fled. Chapter 843. Lu Chen was an expert at deceiving people. This time he easily figured out the true nature of these people. Those who stayed behind to fight, at least they would be of some use in the future. As for those who ran for their lives, Lu Chen did not hold back and killed them all. On the cliff, thousands of people fell into a pool of blood. The soldiers who stayed behind looked at Lu Chen in shock. This guy actually did not attack them? Then when he said he was going to massacre the city, he was lying to them. At this moment, someone finally understood. White God had let them go. Many people were so ashamed that they did not dare to look at Lu Chen. White God, thank you for not killing us. We, the Peacock City's Demon Pupil Valley, will remember this in our hearts. Thank you, White God, for not killing us. Quick, open the city gate. Lu Chen looked at these dumbfounded soldiers indifferently. There is no need to open the city gate. I hope that when you meet demonic beasts in the future, you will still have such courage. After that, Lu Chen flew back to the ground with a combat flight. With the death of the 8-eyed evil spirit and the disappearance of the black Qilin, Atai supported Lu Chen while Xiaohui carried Luo Yao on her back. The 4 of them left the Peacock City and found a waterfall in the valley. They set up a temporary camp and spent the night there. Lu Chen's condition was earlier than expected. After Little Green helped him stop the bleeding, he went on a killing spree. His wound had already burst open and blood kept flowing out. Luo Yao gave Lu Chen a pill. In a daze, Lu Chen swallowed it. Fortunately, after so long, Luo Yao did not have any intention of harming Lu Chen. That pill was just an immortal pill to restore the body. Atai helped Lu Chen clean his wound. The fresh blood had already dyed the clear water of the stream red. Sister Luo Yao, brother Nameless head is burning badly. Xiaohui looked at Luo Yao anxiously. Luo Yao was not a pharmacist. Just when she was at her wit's end, the green-clothed girl from before appeared beside Lu Chen. It's you. Quick, look at him. Luo Yao said anxiously. Boss. Lu Yi hurriedly walked over. Lu Chen was already in a semi-conscious state. His body was slightly trembling, his forehead was burning, and his wound had opened. Seeing Boss like this, Lu Yi's tears immediately fell. Quick, start the fire first. Boss is cold. Atai hurriedly started a fire. It was just that there was clear water here, but there were very few dry branches. The materials they had brought with them were only enough to reach the Peacock City, and now they had to find some on the spot. Seeing Lu Chen trembling so much, Lu Yi became even more anxious. After losing so much blood, it would be strange if he didn't feel cold. Just when she was at a loss, Luo Yao suddenly helped Lu Chen up and hugged him tightly in her arms. Nameless, don't die. Luo Yao lowered her head and stared at the unconscious Lu Chen, her eyes red. She never thought that as the ruler of a country, she would actually use her body to warm this man that she had only known for less than a month. However, she could not care so much now. In order to save her, he took an arrow, and in order to take revenge for her, he did not care about his injuries. He was a madman. In the dark, a warm feeling came over, and Lu Chen finally stabilized. The fire was also started, and the surroundings finally warmed up. The first person to feel that Lu Chen's condition had stabilized was naturally Luo Yao. Their skin was close together, and at this moment, she could feel that Lu Chen's body was not trembling as much. Luo Yao raised her head, her eyes burning with hope. "Miss, he is a little better." Lu Yi hurriedly nodded and started to treat Lu Chen's wounds. This time, the wounds were more serious than before. Tai brought Xiao Hui to guard the surroundings. They could not be careless at this time. Lu Yi was already sweating profusely as she carefully treated every wound on Lu Chen's body. Not only was there a broken arm, there were also more than 10 arrow wounds from the emperor, and every single one of them pierced through his body. Luo Yao kept hugging Lu Chen, and when she saw so many shocking wounds on Lu Chen's body, she could no longer hold back her tears. This guy endured so many injuries to defeat the eight-eyed evil spirit. What kind of willpower did he have to not fall down? He was even prepared to continue fighting with the Black Qilin. At this moment, he should be glad that the Black Qilin did not fight with him, otherwise, the result would be unimaginable. It was not until the latter half of the night that Lu Yi finished treating Lu Chen's wounds. "Miss Luo Yao, boss is still a little cold." Lu Yi's voice was filled with exhaustion. "I will not leave him behind," Luo Yao said. Lu Yi smiled at Luo Yao. "It has been hard on Miss Luo Yao. My name is Lu Yi, boss's ghost pet. The medicine for external injuries has been used up, so I will go to the side to get some more. If there is anything, call me at any time." "Oh right, you also have serious internal injuries. I have some pills here, you can take them to recuperate." Luo Yao nodded gratefully. "I am fine, I should thank Miss Lu. Just leave this to me." Lu Yi went to the side to prepare the medicine, leaving only Luo Yao hugging Lu Chen by the fire. Looking at Lu Chen in her arms, Luo Yao suddenly felt a little absent-minded. Ever since she started out, she had never been so close to a man. Not to mention when she was standing at the peak of the 5th celestial layer. What kind of person was worthy of such treatment from her? However, they had only known each other for a month, and for this guy with a belly full of evil tricks, she ignored other people's opinions and kept him warm. "Nameless, I don't know if you are that one in a million, but it is not important now. I only hope that you can live," Luo Yao said faintly. Although the 4 directions war gods had temporarily blocked the dark side of the moon, Luo Yao's consumption was also great. In an instant, all of her spiritual energy was exhausted, and her spiritual core was severely damaged. The night was dark, and only the rhythmic sound of Lu Yi grinding medicine could be heard. On the other side, the stream was gurgling. Lu Chen in her arms seemed to be cold again, and Luo Yao hurriedly hugged him tightly. After an unknown period of time and countless times of drowsiness, Luo Yao finally couldn't take it anymore and closed her eyes slightly. Early the next morning, when Luo Yao opened her eyes, she found that she had fallen asleep on Lu Chen's chest. She hurriedly woke up and saw Lu Chen staring at her with a pair of eyes and an expression of disbelief. "Hey, what did you do to me last night?" Lu Chen saw that Luo Yao had woken up, and this was the first thing he said. When he woke up, he found that his clothes were untidy, and his buttons were not even buttoned up. This was too much. Not only that, there was a woman hugging him tightly, and she even unbuttoned his clothes. He wanted to break free, but that woman was clearly asleep, and yet she could still subconsciously hug him tightly. What was this situation? And little green next to him, leaning against the tree and falling asleep? Luo Yao almost jumped up in fright. If not for the fact that Lu Chen was injured, she would have probably thrown him out. I helped you to keep warm," Luo Yao explained in horror. "Last night, you were shivering nonstop. Miss Green wanted to treat your wounds, so she had to warm you up first." Lu Chen thought for a while, and that should be the case. "Then why did you put your hand into my clothes?" Luo Yao looked for her hand, and it seemed that she really put her hand into Nameless' clothes. I don't know. I fell asleep. Maybe it was too cold in the middle of the night. Big sister, did you help me to keep warm? Or did you treat me as a hand warmer? Also, did you drool on me?" Lu Chen said angrily. Luo Yao really wished that there was a hole in the ground, so that she could directly crawl into it. This time, she had lost a lot of face. Chapter 844. Lu Chen had already woken up, but his left arm wasn't saved. Atai and the others got up to prepare breakfast while Little Green helped Lu Chen change his bandages. Little Green, you said there are high-grade pills that can regenerate the body? Lu Chen suddenly asked. Little Green froze for a moment. Boss really cared about this matter. Boss, there are such pills, but my level isn't high enough. Right now I'm a 9-star alchemist, so I need to break through to the next level of immortal alchemist. And I also need to get the formula for immortal body pill. Lu Yi originally thought that Boss would be depressed, but who knew that Lu Chen's mood seemed to be quite good. He let out a long sigh of relief. It's good that you can recover. You don't have to worry about your alchemist level and the formula, so we're not in a hurry. You say it as if immortal alchemists and immortal pill formulas are easy to get. Luo Yao rolled her eyes at Lu Chen. Especially immortal alchemists. From alchemist to immortal alchemist, that's an earth-shattering change. Although 9-star alchemists are rare, it's not impossible to find them. But immortal alchemists, even in the entire 5th layer of heaven, I'm afraid you won't find a single one. Lu Chen wasn't discouraged at all. He smiled and said, if there aren't any in the 5th layer of heaven, then the 6th layer of heaven. 6th layer of heaven? Luo Yao frowned. Don't you know that it's been a long time since someone went to the 6th layer of heaven? Lu Chen said strangely. After the great war of gods and demons, the demon beast sovereign died in battle. The 4 heavenly kings disappeared, and the 7 demon beast generals occupied various parts of the continent. Those demon beast lairs should be better. Luo Yao shook her head. You seem to have forgotten the strongest existence. Lu Chen pondered for a moment, and immediately realized who he had forgotten. Heaven Domain Boss. Luo Yao looked at Lu Chen and sighed. You haven't seen your own attributes yet. Lu Chen froze for a moment, as if he had a bad premonition. He hurriedly checked his own attributes. His spiritual power didn't change, but his 3D attributes were halved. His attributes weren't completely reduced, but half of his original attributes were in a state of ineffectiveness. There was now a permanent status added to the character status. Permanent severe physical damage. Body toughness decreased by 50%. After using the distilling scroll in the future, 50% of attributes will not be effective. Some skills will be unavailable. Lu Chen frowned. The damage to the physical body was extremely overpowered. If it was only the original attributes that were reduced by 50%, it would still be fine. At most, he could use the reality extraction scroll to recover his attributes. However, the problem now was that 50% of his attributes would not take effect. In other words, if he used the reality extraction scroll to exchange for 30 points of strength, then there would only be an increase of 15 points, but the usage of the reality extraction scroll would still be 10 points. Spending the same amount of money would only yield half the results. In addition, the upper limit of the 3-dimensional attributes was limited by the fighting soul's 3-dimensional attributes as well as the body's spiritual energy. The fighting soul's attribute was still far from enough, so there was no need to consider it. His spiritual energy was Lu Chen's greatest limitation. If his spiritual energy was 100 points, his strength would be 300 points. However, due to the damage to his body, Lu Chen's strength was only 150 points. This would cause his 3-dimensional limit to be far lower than other cultivators of the same level. In terms of skills, several main skills such as 8 Desolations Heaven and Earth, Void Shattering, Buddha Body Clone, Universal Annihilation were all unavailable. Grace Release, 3000 Body Blink Slash, damage reduced by half. Luo Yao saw the change in Lu Chen's expression, and couldn't bear to look anymore. Losing an arm was not as simple as losing a part of the body for an immortal cultivator. For a cripple, the difficulty of immortal cultivation should be several times more difficult than a healthy person. However, even if Luo Yao was heartbroken, she still had to tell Lu Chen the truth. Only then would he be able to understand his situation. Not long after, Lu Chen raised his head and took a deep breath. I can't even use the Buddha body clone. But fortunately, the sacred lotus sword essence is still here. I can accept it. Luo Yao almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He could even accept this? How big was this guy's heart? At this moment, Atai and the others came to call Lu Chun and the others over for dinner. The four of them sat around a flat stone. Atai served each of them a bowl of porridge. There were also some salted vegetables and a plate of scrambled eggs on the table. Atai wasn't a person with much to spare. They had passed through Peacock City and couldn't replenish their supplies, so breakfast was a little simpler. Nameless brother Miss Luo Yao, I'm really ashamed. There's no meat at all. Atai smiled awkwardly. Lu Chun smiled. Brother Tai, why are you being so polite? You just finished keeping watch at night, and you're busy in the morning. We're the ones who are embarrassed. Atai's eyes reddened and his voice was choked. Nameless brother, I Atai, have never seen an immortal like you. You did it to protect us. But why is it that a good person like you? God is so unfair. Lu Chun patted Atai's shoulder. Atai, I don't believe in fate. These are my choices. Besides, it has nothing to do with you guys. Even if I didn't meet you guys, I would have gone to find the eight-eyed Nu and the black Qilin. It's just an arm. What's the big deal? Lu Chun smiled and picked up the bowl. Suddenly, he realized that he was holding the bowl with one hand, but no chopsticks with the other. It was a little awkward. However, Lu Chun reacted quickly and poured the bowl into his mouth. Try Brother Tai's cooking. Lu Chun put down the bowl and picked up the chopsticks to put the scrambled egg into his mouth. Not bad. Brother Tai, how many stars are you? I'm guessing at least 7 stars. Little Hui, hurry up and eat. When you're growing, eat more and your basic attributes might be higher. Lu Chun even picked up some food for Ah Hui. Nameless brother, I don't want to eat. You eat more. Ah Hui held back her tears. Hey, can you guys not look at me like that? You're making me look like I'm disabled. Lu Chun was speechless. The atmosphere is so sad. It's a psychological burden for the patient. It's not good for my recovery. Atai seemed to have realized that this was not good. He picked up the chopsticks and said, Miss Luo Yao, you should eat more too. Your internal injury also needs to be treated. Luo Yao nodded, picked up the chopsticks and tasted it. Brother Tai, your side dish is really exquisite. That's right. By the way, nameless brother, you guessed wrong. I'm an 8-star cooking master. I've been away from home all this time and don't have any good ingredients. However, after my processing, I can make something special. Lu Chun smiled. Sorry, Brother Tai, I'm a 9-star cooking master. It can't be. Your cooking can be so good. When you recover, I'll try your cooking. My injury is actually not a big problem. I'll get you a fish for lunch. The atmosphere finally became lively. The team still stopped by the small waterfall. For the ingredients for lunch, Lu Chun was not far away, fishing in the deep pool below the waterfall. Rhubarb and Little Furball were not fighting today. Rhubarb leaned close to Lu Chun's feet, lying there, while Little Furball hid in Lu Chun's arms. Luo Yao walked over and sat quietly. Is this outfit of yours specially made for fishing? Yes. It's the best outfit for fishing. That. Do you know why the black Qilin left just like that? Lu Chun looked at Luo Yao in surprise. You changed the topic too much. Then, Lu Chun looked at the deep pool without meeting her eyes. I'm also thinking about this. Chapter 845. The Black Qilin knew who Lu Chun was. It knew that he had released the supreme magical beast, killed the 8-tailed snow fox, and watched him kill the 8-eyed gnome. It also knew that Lu Chun had come to the Demon Eye Valley to activate the Spirit Meridian. But when Lu Chun was severely injured, it actually left. Lu Chun could not understand why. Luo Yao did not know the whole story. She said thoughtfully, I heard from the Black Qilin that you wanted to activate the Spirit Meridian here. Is there a Spirit Meridian here? Yes, there is an ancient Spirit Meridian. Lu Chun did not hide it. At the same time, he did not explain too much. Luo Yao could tell that Lu Chun did not intend to explain in detail. Since he did not want to say it now, he probably would not say it even if she asked. Then, based on the current situation, Luo Yao deduced, the Black Qilin did not stop you. Could it be that it actually wants you to activate the ancient Spirit Meridian? Lu Chun froze for a moment. After thinking about it carefully, he suddenly felt enlightened. That's right, Why did the 4 heavenly kings of the magical beasts stop him from activating the spirit meridian? In fact, when the spirit meridian of the holy mountain was activated, he met that strange egg, which happened to hatch that magical beast. He was only accidentally sucked into the black gas, and came into contact with that fellow. And after that fellow hatched, it did not stay to stop Lu Chen from doing anything. If the magical beast army did not want the spirit meridian to activate, then no matter how weak that fellow was, it should have reacted. But in the end, it just flew away. It was the same for the Black Qilin. It had been hiding in the Demon Eye Valley. In Lu Chen's subconscious, he thought that it would definitely stop him from activating the spirit meridian. But reality proved that the Black Qilin did not want to stop him at all. The Immortal Level mission, Restart the 5 Heavens, mentioned that the 5 spirit meridians were blocked by magical beasts. At that time, Lu Chen thought that the magical beasts might have blocked the spirit meridian, because they did not want the immortal cultivators to increase their strength too quickly. But now that the magical beasts were reborn, if they had enough confidence, they might give up on blocking the spirit meridian. The spirit meridian of the Demon Eye Valley is yours, but the world is ours. Lu Chen recalled the words of the Black Qilin once again, and he suddenly felt enlightened. Luo Yao spoke again. Moreover, I think they might want you to activate the spiritual meridian. Otherwise, if I were the Black Qilin, I would definitely kill you after I saw that you possessed the strength to kill the 8-eyed evil spirit. The only explanation for why they didn't attack you is that you're still useful to them. Luo Yao was indeed the Jade Emperor. Even though she only knew part of the truth, she was still able to analyze the cause and effect. Lu Chen furrowed his brows. Luo Yao's words made sense. Even if the Black Qilin gave up on the spirit vein, he was still a threat to the magical beast army. At that time he had been seriously injured. Although he had kept a trump card, Soul Body as one and the God-fiend Astral Body, Lu Chen had kept it to deal with the Black Qilin. Not to mention whether or not he could win. The most important thing was that the Black Qilin should not have known that Lu Chen was hiding such a terrifying strength. Lu Chen had obtained the Celestial Devil Astral Body at the bottom of the Autumn Lake. After that, he had not used it against any other demonic beasts, so it could not have known about it in advance. Under such circumstances, the only explanation for the Black Qilin letting him off was what Luo Yao had said. It's possible, Lu Chen said. Then do you still plan to open the spirit vein? Lu Chen thought for a while. I'm not sure. Let's find the spirit vein first, then we'll make a decision. After resting in the camp for 3 days, Lu Chen's external injuries had started to scab, and Luo Yao had recovered a lot. Atai and Xiao Hui were originally going to the Peacock City, but now that the 8-eyed evil spirit was dead, the other demonic beasts were no longer a threat to them. It was not appropriate to go to the Peacock City, so they changed their itinerary and went with Lu Chen to the Goshawk City in the southwest direction. From there, they did not need to pass through the Magic Eye Valley anymore. The 4 heavenly kings of the demonic beasts are in trouble, and the 7 ancient war gods are reborn. It feels like the 5th heaven is getting more and more chaotic. Atai shook his head and said, I heard that some of the peerless experts who have been living in seclusion have started to become restless. I don't know what's going on in the 5th heaven. Lu Chen nodded. Atai, if you have the chance, take Xiao Hui to the Eastern Peak Nation to find my friends. One of them is called Taizhen, and the other is called Qianqiuxue. They are indigenous cultivators like you. If there are more people, we can take care of each other in the future. Atai nodded. In this chaotic world, it was too difficult for him to protect Xiao Hui alone. At this time Luo Yao also said, Go to the Eastern Peak Nation. Someone will ensure your safety. As they continued to go deeper into the canyon, the surroundings became extremely wide, and the road became more and more difficult to walk. 4 days later, the 4 of them arrived at the Goshawk City. Atai and Xiao Hui were about to leave them. Brother Nameless, Sister Luo Yao, you must be careful, Xiao Hui said with red eyes. Lu Chen touched Xiao Hui's head. You and your father must be careful too. I hope you can find your mother. Atai thought for a moment, then took out a wooden token and handed it to Lu Chen. Brother Nameless, take this token. What is this? Lu Chen looked at the token in his hand strangely. The wooden token was a little worn, but the two words on it were still very clear. Original deity. Do you still remember that I said that I stepped onto the path of cultivation because of an opportunity? Atai said. Lu Chen naturally remembered. He nodded and waited for Atai to finish. It is my opportunity. The original deity is the legendary god of our indigenous people. In our legends, the 7 ancient gods were unable to stop the demonic beast army, and it was him who saved the 5th heaven. Lu Chen frowned. In the Restart the 5th Heaven mission, there was mention of the war between gods and demons, but there was no record of how the cultivators won. Could it be that the original deity was the key to the missing part? If it was true, the original deity was the one who saved the 5th heaven, then thinking about the tragic situation of the indigenous people now, it was even more lamentable. Of course, this was just a legend. As for the truth, Lu Chen still needed to find the answer himself. Brother Nameless, the original deity's token contains part of the original deity's spiritual power. Even without the extraction scroll, as long as you cultivate every day, you can slowly increase your attributes. Ah! Lu Chen's eyes widened. This thing was so heaven-defying? No wonder Atai could jump from an ordinary person to an earth cultivator. Even Xiao Hui had reached the great cultivator realm. Atai, I can't accept this thing. Your cultivation is already difficult. I am an immortal cultivator. As long as I can get the extraction scroll, I can increase my level. Atai pushed the original deity's token in front of Lu Chen and said firmly, Brother Nameless, you misunderstood. The original deity's token can only exert this much effect in my hands. I have reached the 4-star Earth Cultivator realm, and Xiao Hui has reached the 8-star Great Cultivator realm. We can no longer obtain the cultivation effect from the original deity's token. In the future, if we want to become stronger, we have to use the elixir. There is more than one original deity's token. The original deity knows how difficult it is for the indigenous people to cultivate. This is the opportunity that the original deity left for us indigenous people. It is like the fire of hope, allowing us indigenous people to see hope. And those of us who have been chosen will continue to pass on this hope. But, Brother Tai, I am not an indigenous person. Lu Chen looked at Atai awkwardly. No. Atai smiled at Lu Chen. In my eyes, you are an indigenous person. Chapter 846. Atai handed the Origin Divine token to Lu Chen. After bidding farewell to Lu Chen and Luo Yao, he brought Xiao Hui into Goshawk City. Luo Yao left a letter for them, saying that if they encountered any trouble in the future, they could take this letter to the East Peak Nation. There would naturally be someone to protect them there. There was also a silver note with spirit stones in the letter, but Luo Yao did not tell them. If they encountered any trouble in the future, they would naturally see it. After watching the father and daughter leave, Luo Yao turned to look at Lu Chen and smiled. Even I don't know about the Origin Divine token. It's clear that the natives regard the Origin Divine token as the most precious treasure. In the end, they passed it on to you. Why? Are you jealous? Lu Chen smiled. TSK, who's jealous of you? Let's go. Lu Chen took one last look at the two figures disappearing into the crowd. Amidst the bustling crowd, the two quickly disappeared into the crowd. He did not know if they would be able to find their families and what their future would be like. I hope they can live well. After saying that, Lu Chen turned around and left the Goshawk City with Luo Yao. During the past few days of rushing, Atai and Xiao Hui had taken care of almost all the trivial matters, allowing Lu Chen and Luo Yao to get sufficient rest. Under Lu Yi's meticulous care, Lu Chen's external injuries had already healed, and Luo Yao's internal injuries had also been treated. Of course, the only change was that Lu Chen was now missing an arm. Luo Yao and Lu Chen used the sickles that Atai had left behind to chop away the plants blocking their path. Their speed was not fast. Hey Luo Yao, who are you? Lu Chen suddenly asked. After the battle with the eight-eyed evil spirit, the two of them were much closer than before. At least, Lu Chen was sure that Luo Yao would not harm him. If it was crucial, she had plenty of time to do it that night when she took advantage of him. Luo Yao smiled. You're so scheming. Don't you have any guesses? There is. You came from the Eastern Peak Nation, and you are very strong. In the Eastern Peak Nation, even if you are not part of the Eastern Peak Nation's imperial family, you should still be used by them. Luo Yao wasn't nervous at all. Pretty much. Then what do you think my status is in the Dongyu imperial family? How would I know? I don't even know the Dongyue imperial family. Oh, I think I know someone called King Wu. But you're stronger than him. You can't be a princess, right? Princess. Luo Yao was slightly taken aback. She really was a princess in the past. If that was the case, then the solipsistic had guessed most of it correctly. But looking at his appearance, it should be impossible for him to guess that the person who had been traveling with him for over a month was the East Mountain Nation's ruler. Luo Yao noticed that ever since the battle with the eight-eyed evil spirit, Lu Chen had a rhubarb dog by his side. There was also a little white mouse that always rode on Rhubarb's neck. Nameless. Are they your pets? Lu Chen shook his head. To be exact, it's a battle pet. Battle pet? You rascal, you never tell the truth. What kind of combat strength can these two little fellows have? Lu Chen felt wronged. He was clearly telling the truth, but Luo Yao didn't believe there was any other way. Where do we go from here? We'll just follow Rhubarb. Lu Chen said. Ah, you're saying that we've been following Rhubarb all this time to look for the spirit vein? Lu Chen nodded. Now we can confirm that there's an ancient spirit vein in the Demon Eye Valley. As long as we search this area, Rhubarb will find it. Luo Yao never imagined that the nameless method of searching for the spirit vein would be relying on a dog. The Demon Eye Valley originally stretched for thousands of miles, and the widest part was 6 to 7 kilometers. Who knew how long it would take to search like this? However, half a month later, Luo Yao realized that Rhubarb was almost always walking in the direction of the Demon Eye Valley. Even when it reached the widest part of the Demon Eye Valley, it didn't search horizontally. What Luo Yao didn't know was that Rhubarb didn't need to search at all for a distance of 6 to 7 kilometers. That was why it could go southwest and search along the Demon Eye Valley. Unknowingly, the two had stayed in the Demon Eye Valley for 4 months and explored 2/3 of the Demon Eye Valley. Along the way, they encountered many attacks from various magical beasts. However, the species' bloodline wasn't high. The highest rank of the dragon species was no higher than the 6th rank. Most of them were ordinary magical beasts below the 4th rank. Luo Yao could handle such magical beasts alone. Every time after killing a magical beast, Luo Yao would see Lu Chen busy collecting beast cores. In the past half a year, that guy had collected countless beast cores. After dealing with a group of rank 2 Gudiao in front of them, Lu Chen collected dozens of rank 2 beast cores. For Luo Yao, killing rank 2 beasts was a piece of cake. Luo Yao, there seemed to be a lot of low-rank Gudiao nearby. Let's camp here tonight. Lu Chen said. Do you really plan to use these beast cores to raise your battle pets? But your battle pets don't seem to have grown much. Wouldn't it be a waste to use beast cores? Lu Chen smiled. You mean Rhubarb and Furball? They don't need beast cores. Let's set up camp by the river first. The camp was soon completed. However, this time Lu Chen didn't help much. He just sat on the side, doing something unknown. Speaking of which, ever since Lu Chen lost an arm, Luo Yao had been doing all the chores. Lu Chen was almost only responsible for cooking. He didn't care about anything else. Luo Yao could only make a fire and boil water by herself. She also cleared out 2 dry flat areas and built a temporary canopy. If the people of the Dongyu country saw this, their jaws would probably drop. The dignified Jade Empress was actually doing housework. This was something they didn't even dare to dream of. Miss Lu was preparing to search for herbs in the surroundings with Rhubarb and Furball accompanying her. Many of the herbs in the 5th layer of heaven had been collected before. However, the Magic Eye Valley was an exception. Very few people came here. Even if there were herbalists who came to collect herbs, they would only do so in the surroundings. They didn't dare to go too deep. This gave Lu Yi a chance to pick up the leftovers. Those rare and precious herbs grew in dangerous places. Almost no one dared to collect them in the Magic Eye Valley. It could be said that Lu Yi's harvest was more than Lu Chen's. Lu Chen often had to remotely place some herbs he didn't recognize into the army's warehouse. The herbalists were probably very busy. Every time they checked the army's warehouse, Lu Chen would find that the herbs inside had been taken away. "Boss, I'm going to collect herbs. There's a swamp nearby. I think there might be rotting grass." "Oh, go. Be careful." "It's okay. Fur ball will protect me. It also needs to eat." The bored Luo Yao suddenly said, "Miss Lu, I don't want to be with this blockhead. I'll accompany you to take a look." After a long time, Luo Yao and Lu Yi were much more familiar. Okay. Miss Luo Yao can accompany me to talk if you go. However, boss your side." Lu Chen smiled. "Go. There aren't any powerful fellows nearby. It's very safe here. You guys can go." With boss's permission, Lu Yi pulled Luo Yao and Rhubarb and Furball and happily went to collect herbs. After the few of them left the camp, Lu Chen looked around and slowly stood up. From his expression, he was a little nervous. "Originally, I planned to evolve my all-creation bloodline first. However, my physical body is permanently injured. It's not good to have that abnormal state. Even if I evolve it, it won't improve much. Therefore, I can only bet on you this time. I've caught countless pets. Today, I'm finally going to complete the ultimate transformation." Chapter 847. Ever since Lu Chen activated the long-range army material extraction function and reached level 5, he never forgot to extract the attribute-less spirit essences he collected from the personal dungeons. 7 or 8 months after reaching level 5, he never forgot to cultivate his own battle pets. The large number of monsters Lu Chen killed to level up provided a large number of beast cores, plus the beast cores of the level 5 magical beasts. These divine beasts grew rapidly. After diligently cultivating these little guys for so many years, the most critical moment had finally arrived. 4 divine beasts, 4 ferocious beasts, 4 ultimate divine beasts, 4 ultimate ferocious beasts, extreme yin glow and extreme yang illumination had all reached adulthood. After the fusion, these little guys should not be around anymore. After being with them for so many years, Lu Chen looked at these big guys who had already grown up, and was a little reluctant to part with them. However, the fusion beast god was also a kind of evolution for these divine beast battle pets. In the Jiutian where strength was respected, becoming stronger was the pursuit of all species. Thinking of this, Lu Chen no longer worried about these things and took out the beast god fusion stone. Seeing the beast god fusion stone, these guys who were in a mess suddenly quieted down. They already knew what their master was going to do. Their eyes seemed to emit fire as they looked at the stone excitedly. Sure enough, they also yearned to become stronger. Hun Dun walked in front of Lu Chen and rubbed his head against Lu Chen, as if to say goodbye. Tao Tai stuck out his tongue and licked. Half of Lu Chen's clothes were wet. Then, the big guy lowered his head and looked at Lu Chen's broken arm, crying in a low voice. Lu Chen touched Tao Tai's head and smiled. "It's just an arm, it's nothing." Especially the 4 divine beasts. Lu Chen got them in the US secret realm. They had followed Lu Chen for several years since they were young. Lu Chen was afraid that they would get hurt, so he almost never let them fight. These divine beasts had intelligence. How could they not understand that their boss wanted to protect them? Such deep feelings were needless to say. Lu Chen touched Tao Ye's big head and said, "You've all grown up. Do you still remember when you were little and caused me trouble all day long?" At that time Lu Chen was still very weak. He thought that Jiutian was just an MMORPG, and the difficulty of obtaining materials almost drove him crazy. However, step by step he still made it here. The divine beasts bid farewell to Lu Chen one by one. "Although all of you have grown so big, I still like to call you little guys." Lu Chen smiled. "Don't be so sad, you will still be with me in the future." Lu Chen smiled and said, "I feel that after you become beast god, it will be the start of fighting alongside me. We'll all welcome a new beginning." Lu Chen's eyes lit up with hope. "Little guys, are you ready?" The 18 top-notch divine beasts raised their heads and roared in unison. Lu Chen had not opened the soul and body as one, so their battle prowess was currently very weak, but it still did not change the fact that they were all divine beasts. Under the roar, the earth trembled. Right then, a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky and tore the sky apart. A shocking clap of thunder reverberated between heaven and earth. Under the roar of thunder and lightning, the entire Demon Eye Valley was as bright as day. It just so happened that this bolt of lightning had appeared in time. Otherwise, people would have been scared out of their wits if they had heard the roar of the divine beasts. Under the lightning, 18 huge shadows shrouded the sky. Lu Chen felt that he was too small in front of these guys. Is this a natural anomaly? I haven't even started the synthesis yet. Lu Chen was frustrated. Alright, since the natural anomaly has appeared, then, let's begin the synthesis. In the sky, an even more horrifying bolt of lightning struck down from above the Jiutian. The horrifying forked lightning struck the mountain in the distance. In an instant, the mountain was reduced to ashes. This natural anomaly is a bit scary. Lu Chen did not care. He held the Beast God Synthesis Stone and continued the synthesis. All 18 battle pets were sucked into the Beast God Synthesis Stone. All of a sudden, the Beast God Synthesis Stone expanded dozens of times, turning into a huge white egg that was 4 or 5 times the size of Lu Chen. Naturally, Lu Chen could no longer hold on to the Beast God Synthesis Stone. He put the egg on the ground and waited for the result. The temperature of the surrounding air instantly rose. Lu Chen felt that he was about to be roasted. He had no choice but to retreat. Several bolts of lightning struck down. Before Lu Chen could do anything, the lightning had already landed on the egg. What is the meaning of this? Under the high temperature, the ground was on fire. The temperature was so high that Lu Chen had to step back for another 100 meters. Suddenly, heavy rain began to fall from the sky. This rain must be even heavier than the rain created by the rain Jiao. It was as if there was a hole in the sky and the Milky Way was pouring down. What was strange was that the rain and the fire on the ground did not cancel each other out. The two existed side by side. More and more lightning bolts struck the egg mercilessly. Lu Chen almost thought that the synthesis would fail. Not even a god would be able to stop the lightning bolts. The wind sprang up, forming a tornado that enveloped the egg. The fire and the rain were entangled. The lightning bolts were jumping around in the wind. Lu Chen hurried to activate his Heaven's Eye. Only then did he realize how horrifying the surging spirit chi around the egg was. Spirit chi of different natures was washing the egg's shell like an endless sea. Oh my god. How can the egg withstand such attacks? Is this a synthesis or a heaven's test? In the distance, Luo Yao and the others were already far away. However, the sudden change behind them caught their attention. What is going on at the campsite? Oh my god. Over there. Lu Yi opened her eyes wide in fear. Looking from the distance, Luo Yao saw flashes of lightning and roars of thunder. Inside the wind, the fire and the blue light were entangled like two dragons. She had never seen such a scene before. Luo Yao opened her eyes wide. No. Nameless. Let's go back. However, they found that they couldn't get close to the area in front of them. From the center of the area, there was an extremely exaggerated storm. The closer they got, the stronger the wind became. What is going on? Why is there such a horrifying phenomenon? Luo Yao opened her eyes with difficulty. This can't be a natural storm. Even I can't move forward. This is a spirit chi storm. Little Green, hold on to my hand. Little Green was a ghost pet in the first place. Encountering this kind of violent spiritual energy storm, it could not withstand it at all. Luo Yao, I can't hold on anymore. You go back and save boss. Luo Yao clenched her teeth and grabbed Little Green. She opened her spirit chi shield and retreated. She couldn't leave Lu Yi behind. For a full 10 hours, the violent spirit chi storm didn't weaken at all. 10 hours later, the celestial phenomenon finally weakened, and the wind pillar gradually weakened. The dark clouds dispersed, the fire extinguished, and the rain fell. Lu Chen had activated divine demon symbiosis, so he wasn't pushed out of the storm area. At this moment, he heaved a sigh of relief. This should be a heavenly tribulation, he said with lingering fear. The fusion beast god actually encountered a heavenly tribulation. Then, under such circumstances, did the fusion succeed? With this in mind, Lu Chen quickly used triple door and flashed to his original location. This place was already scorched earth. Looking around, Lu Chen finally found the huge white egg. At this moment, it was suspended in mid-air. The outside isn't damaged. Lu Chen's breathing quickened. Could it be that the inside is cooked? As soon as he said that, there were a few cracking sounds. The shell of the huge egg cracked open. Chapter 848. Lu Chen had imagined countless times what the so-called beast god looked like. At this moment, as the white egg cracked open, Lu Chen's heart was in his throat. Crack, crack, crack. A large crack appeared on the surface of the eggshell. Then something pushed open the broken eggshell from the inside. Immediately after, a few childish cries came from inside the eggshell. A little guy stumbled out of the eggshell and climbed out shakily. Seeing this little guy, Lu Chen's eyeballs almost popped out. Inside the egg hatched a human. Not only a human, but a baby. This is the beast god. The huge egg was suspended in the air. While Lu Chen was still in a daze, the little guy was thrown down from the air. Lu Chen hurriedly went to catch it. But before he could reach it, the little guy realized the danger. In that instant, a shadow appeared all over its body. If Lu Chen was not wrong, the shadow should be the blazing vermilion bird. The shadow flashed by. The baby's back seemed to have a pair of invisible wings flapping, allowing him to float in the air. He sucked on his fingers and looked strangely at Lu Chen, who had rushed in front of him. His pair of lively eyes seemed to be thinking of something. Lu Chen was also a little confused. Firstly, he did not expect the beast god to be in human form. Secondly, this little guy could use some of the divine beast's abilities when he was just born? Looking at the little baby floating in the air, a drop of cold sweat appeared on Lu Chen's forehead. Maybe the beast god can be called a god, so he can appear in human form. Lu Chen comforted himself. Can you understand what I'm saying, little guy? At first, the baby did not have any reaction. He was even a little wary of Lu Chen. But when Lu Chen said the word little guy, his eyes suddenly changed colors. It was as if those eyes hid the memories of those divine beasts. The changes were fleeting and his eyes quickly returned to black. But at this time, his eyes burst out with a burst of light. The little guy recognized Lu Chen. He threw himself into Lu Chen's arms. Lu Chen suddenly panicked. He did have experience in taking care of children. Lu Yi had been raised by him since she was 4 or 5 years old. However, he had no experience in taking care of babies. He was a straight man who was still single. He didn't even have a girlfriend, let alone a newborn baby waiting to be fed. Lu Chen didn't know how to respond for a moment. People said that babies were very fragile, and that they had to be careful even when carrying them. This can't be. I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad? The little fellow's head burrowed into Lu Chen's arms. It seemed to be very close to Lu Chen. Lu Chen tried to pick up the little fellow. You're the beast deity, baby? The little guy looked at Lu Chen curiously. His eyes were extremely clear, and it seemed like he didn't really understand what Lu Chen meant. Oh my God! Lu Chen carefully hugged the little beast god as he heaved a long sigh towards the sky. What a pleasant surprise! Lu Chen found that he couldn't put the little beast deity into the pet pen. Target is a creature born in the 5th firmament, unable to be put into the pet pen. Lu Chen's eyes widened. No way. Lu Chen looked at the baby in his arms in horror. His eyelids were twitching. Does this mean that I'll have to carry him with me all the time? Putting that aside, Lu Chen hurried to check his status. Beast deity infant. The system is unable to detect its attributes. Lu Chen almost vomited blood and died. Another guy whose attributes couldn't be detected. Originally, he could proudly say that he was a beast tamer. But now Lu Chen discovered that he was a trash beast tamer. He used to have a bunch of battle pets, but he only had 3 at the moment. Apart from Rhubarb, he couldn't see the attributes of the furball and the beast deity. What kind of beast tamer was that? Even Rhubarb was dangerous. That guy would look at himself in the mirror every day. Lu Chen was afraid that he wouldn't be able to see his attributes if he suddenly awakened one day. After all, even though that guy's combat ability was terrible, it was still a rare creature in the fifth firmament. If that day really came, Lu Chen's 3 battle pets would all be weird and free range. The little guy was quite well behaved when Lu Chen came back, but it didn't become restless until Lu Chen lamented about the impermanence of life. Lu Chen looked at the little guy. It was white and tender. It didn't seem to be any different from other babies except for the abilities it had just shown. The little guy seemed to want to tell Lu Chen something. It pointed at the huge egg behind it. Do you want me to take a look at the egg? The little beast deity still didn't understand Lu Chen's words, and was only focused on expressing its meaning. It was still pointing at the egg, and was restless as it kicked its little feet around. Lu Chen guessed that the little guy wanted him to take a look, so he walked over with the little beast deity in his arms. There was nothing special about the white eggshell except for its large size. It was empty inside. Lu Chen picked up a piece of the eggshell on the ground, and suddenly widened his eyes. Damn, why is it so heavy? He estimated that the palm-sized piece of eggshell weighed at least a few hundred kilograms. Lu Chen thought for a moment. The ultimate king of heavenly beasts had swallowed the eggshell that hatched him when he was still alive, which meant that there must be something in the eggshell that he needed to grow. The beast deity's eggshell shouldn't be any worse than his. Judging from its weight, it must have been tempered by the heavenly tribulation. After thinking for a moment, Lu Chen squatted and put the little guy on his knees. He picked up a piece of the eggshell and waved it in front of the little guy. You want this? The little guy danced with joy and reached out to take it. It looked very excited. Lu Chen tried to let him take it himself, but he still held it halfway. After all, the eggshell was too heavy for a baby. But unexpectedly, the little guy grabbed the eggshell with one hand and stuffed it into his mouth. Damn, so strong. Lu Chen was now even more certain that this little guy wasn't an ordinary person. This eggshell had been tempered by the heavenly tribulation repeatedly and didn't break. It was obvious how strong it was. Thinking back, breaking the eggshell from the inside required much more strength than grabbing a piece of the eggshell. If the little guy could do that, then picking up a piece of the eggshell would be a piece of cake. Back then, divine beast cubs only had high attributes when they reached adulthood. When they were just born, their basic attributes were about the same and were all in the single digits. But this little guy was born with certain abilities and had such a strong body. There was no doubt that the fusion this time was a success. The little guy wolfed down the eggshell in no time. Then, it hid in Lu Chen's arms as if that was the safest harbor and fell asleep soundly. Looking at the little guy sleeping soundly in his arms, Lu Chen smiled and shook his head. Lu Chen thought that the beast deity might be the winged dragon, the candle dragon, or some other powerful ancient divine beast. But he definitely didn't expect that the fusion of a beast deity would make him a stay-at-home dad. Little guy, sleep well. Lu Chen didn't want to wake the little beast deity up, so he found a soft patch of grass and sat down. He caused such a phenomenon when he was born. I really don't know what's so special about him. Lu Chen felt a little apologetic, but there were some things that were better not to let Luo Yao know. After Luo Yao walked away, Lu Yi sat beside Lu Chen. Boss, he's the beast deity? Lu Yi guessed the child's identity at once. Lu Chen heaved a sigh of relief and nodded. Yes. I didn't expect him to be born in a human form. Boss, why didn't you keep him in the beast pen? The original form of a level 5 cannot be kept in the beast pen. Lu Chen shook his head. Lu Yi looked curiously at the baby in Lu Chen's arms and said dotingly, he's really different. Beast deity, little guy, what's so different about you? Boss, how is he going to grow? He won't grow up slowly like a human, right? I don't think so. He ate his own eggshell. As for how he's going to grow, I'm still not sure. Lu Chen said. He's different from other mythological beasts. He has great battle strength since birth. He seems to have retained some memories of his mythological beast past. It's very little, but he knows me. Lu Chen said proudly. Lu Chen was much more relaxed when chatting with Lu Yi. Lu Yi had followed Lu Chen for so long and knew everything. Lu Chen did not need to hide anything. Alright, it seems like we have to take good care of this little guy in the future, and let him grow up quickly. Lu Yi gently touched the beast deity's little face. The sleeping beast deity felt a little itchy on his face. He scratched his face with his little chubby hand, and then went back to sleep. Lu Chen said that he was going to stay here for a few days. The previous campsite had been destroyed, so the few of them built a new one. The new campsite was bigger, and everyone was busy for half a day. At night, they fell asleep immediately. The next day, when the sky was just starting to brighten, Lu Chen felt some movement beside him. He opened his eyes and saw the beast deity playing with the little furball and rhubarb. The little guy was sitting on rhubarb. When rhubarb ran around, he did not fall off. Instead, he was giggling. Speaking of which, this little guy seemed to have grown a little in one night. Perhaps it was because he digested the eggshell. When the little furball saw that Lu Chen was awake, it ran to Lu Chen and kept squeaking. Squeak, squeak, squeak. You want to bring the beast deity to hunt? Lu Chen sat up. He's still too young. Squeak, squeak, squeak. You will protect him? Lu Chen thought for a while. The beast deity's body was naturally very strong. With the little furball's protection, although there were many strange beasts around, their levels were very low. There was no danger. However, Lu Chen was still worried. I'll go with you. After Lu Chen washed up, he looked back. Luo Yao had also gotten up. Luo Yao, I'll go with them to kill some magical beasts. Okay, be careful. Don't go too far. If there's anything, send me a message. Got it. Lu Chen agreed and set off with the three of them. There used to be a large number of rank 2 and rank 3 Chongdiao around the campsite, but they were all cleared by Luo Yao. Coupled with yesterday's vision, Lu Chen walked for a long time before he found an area where magical beasts gathered. There were many swamp crocodiles in the swamp ahead. In the forest beside the swamp, there were large numbers of land magical beasts shuttling back and forth. There were also Chongdiao circling in the sky. Aren't there too many of them here? Lu Chen was still hesitating. Rhubarb and the rest had already rushed over happily. Damn, be careful. There's a boss here. Lu Chen shook his head, but he could no longer call them back. The little furball directly enlarged as it ran. Rhubarb jumped onto the little furball's palm with the beast deity. The little furball opened the bloodline bond between the two of them. And with the bloodline bond, there won't be any danger. Lu Chen was not in a hurry and simply watched from the side. However, before Lu Chen could sit down, the little beast deity, who could not walk yet, jumped down from the little furball's palm and smashed into a large group of swamp crocodiles. Damn. Lu Chen jumped up. Little beast, go back. At this moment, the beast deity's body suddenly emitted a burst of fierce spirit energy. An afterimage of a blazing vermilion bird appeared behind him. Then, his body flew close to the swamp at a low altitude. Wherever he passed, the magical beasts were instantly roasted into charcoal. Seeing this scene, Lu Chen widened his eyes in disbelief. This guy's flames are many times stronger than the blazing vermilion bird. Chapter 850. Little Furball was very dissatisfied with the beast god for burning its food, so it roared at the beast god. The little fellow couldn't understand Lu Chen's words, but it seemed to be able to understand Little Furball's roar, so it giggled at it. Roar! Little Furball roared again. That fellow seemed to be a little afraid of it, so it retracted its flame. Lu Chen saw this scene clearly and couldn't help but shake his head. Looks like Little Furball is still the boss now. I wonder if Little Furball will be able to contend against Little Furball when it grows up. The growth of these two fellows had already exceeded Lu Chen's imagination. When the time comes, it would be hard for him to predict who would be stronger and who would be weaker. This fellow was born with such terrifying battle power. Killing second transition magical beasts is like playing with it. And after being burned by it, those second transition magical beasts can't be revived? I wonder what kind of fire seed its flame is. On this side, Little Furball burned out a charred path, and countless magical beasts died. Rhubarb jumped down from Little Furball's palm, and collected the beast cores of these magical beasts. Little Furball chased after Little Furball. The two of them changed to physical attacks and rushed into a group of panicked third transition Dangkangs, killing them indiscriminately. Little Furball bit one beast at a time, and Luchin was very clear that every time this fellow opened its mouth, its attributes would unknowingly increase. And on Little Furball's side, 8 mythological beasts appeared behind him. The mythological beasts flashed by, and Little Furball could be seen flying at an extremely fast speed, flying in front of a third transition Dangkong, and directly smashing its skull with a punch. The scene was extremely cruel. Red and white splashed all over his body. Little Furball didn't even put on any clothes, but he didn't care and turned to kill another one. Luchin directly activated Heaven's Eye, and only then did he see Little Furball's attack clearly. Heavy attack, split attack, combo attack, burning spirit energy, attack with ice and fire element attack. Damn, the mythological beast's passive attack is not missing. This fellow's normal attack is quite strong. The strange thing was Little Furball seemed to have some kind of special ability. As long as it killed a magical beast, it couldn't be revived. His attack seems to have other attributes. Luchin couldn't communicate with Little Furball now, so he could only deduce in his heart. The killing continued. After 2 hours, Little Furball and Little Furball were in high spirits. At first, the surrounding magical beasts still bared their fangs, especially the 4th transition magical beasts. Facing the provocators, Little Furball quickly made them understand what it meant to submit. In any case, they just had to eat them. During the battle, Luchin also discovered that if the little beast encountered a magical beast that was killed by the Little Furball, it would not be afraid. There was only one time when he was attacked by a rank 4 leader Dangkong. The little beast smashed that guy's head with a backhand attack, but Dangkong did not die immediately, and regained rank 4 strength after rebirth. Seeing that the Sanfrewa prince had entered rank 4, the little beast ran towards the Little Furball, but the Little Furball still managed to subdue it. From this detail, Luchin deduced that it might be more difficult for the little critter to deal with a 4th transformation magical beast. Moreover, he couldn't really make the magical beast unable to revive. He could only deal with 3rd transformation magical beasts and below. Killing a high-level magical beast would reduce the number of rebirths. Of course, Little Furball already had the strength of a 3rd transition magical beast, which was already very scary. After all, it was not even a day old. This fellow knows that it can't win and calls me big brother. Luchin smiled and shook his head. But the more it was like this, the less Luchin had to worry. He was too young and didn't know the dangers of magical beasts. Rhubarb didn't stop either. It picked up beast cores everywhere, and its backpack was full. It ran to Luchin and wagged its tail. Woof woof woof. Luchin couldn't help but laugh. You guys have a clear division of labor. The two of them are in charge of killing, and you are in charge of looting the corpses. There's no one more suitable than you to loot the corpses. Rhubarb passed 200 beast cores to Luchin and barked at him. Woof woof woof. These are Little Furball's food. Luchin asked curiously. Rhubarb stuck out its tongue and nodded. And all right. I was wondering why you guys were so sensible, helping me get beast cores to evolve my universal bloodline. Luchin looked at the beast cores. To him, these beast cores were still too low level. Woof woof woof. Rhubarb was very dissatisfied with its current job. It also wanted to kill magical beasts. Luchin immediately pulled Rhubarb back, not letting it go. He tried to persuade it. Don't. Rhubarb, listen to me. I only have you 3 battle pets now. Those 2 are already abnormal. You must continue to be normal. Why don't you return the 9 turns golden crow mirror to me? I keep feeling that something will happen if I leave it with you. Woof woof woof. The benefit of peeking at Luo Yao changing clothes. Rhubarb, what did Mu Xian teach you in the past? What did you learn? Am I that kind of person? Forget it, I was just joking. That is your exclusive treasure. How can I take it back? Luchin said with a guilty conscience. Rhubarb wagged its tail and happily ran off to continue collecting beast cores. Rhubarb also learned bad things. Luchin was speechless. He guessed that Mu Xian had taught Rhubarb a lot of bad things in the past, until noon. This large swamp forest was already filled with the corpses of magical beasts. Only the little fur ball and little fur ball were left in the surroundings. The two guys cleared out all the magical beasts here. Just the beast cores alone, Lu Chen collected 700 to 800. Most of them were second grade, some were third grade, and a few were fourth grade. Before the two guys came back, the little fur ball took little fur ball to the nearby stream to take a bath and clean up the bloodstains on its body. When they came back, little fur ball had already fallen asleep in the little fur ball's palm. It seemed that it was too tired. Lu Chen took little fur ball. Little fur ball also became smaller and climbed onto Lu Chen's shoulder. Rhubarb followed by Lu Chen's side. One person, 3 heads. Or it could be said that 2 people and 2 beasts returned to the camp. Lu Chen and the rest stayed in the camp for 3 to 4 days. Every day, little fur ball and the rest would go out to hunt. After hunting, little fur ball would eat a few beast cores. After eating, it would fall asleep. Every time, it would sleep for a long time until dawn. The next day, it would wake Lu Chen up early in the morning. These few days in the camp, the days passed very slowly but also very fulfilling. Luo Yao brought Lu Yi to collect herbs every day. Lu Chen brought little fur ball in another direction to secretly hunt. At night, Lu Chen would often bring back some fresh ingredients and personally cook them. Luo Yao and Rhubarb would then wait for the food to be served. These regular days passed by in the blink of an eye. 4 days later, Lu Chen and the rest decided to leave this place. Nameless, it's inconvenient for you to carry little fur ball. Let me do it. Luo Yao took little fur ball from Lu Chen's hands. Little fur ball felt that something was wrong. It opened its sleepy eyes slightly. When it saw that it was the woman who had been living with its master, it fell asleep peacefully again. Little fur ball seems to have gained some weight. Looking at the little baby in her arms, Luo Yao touched his nose. Little fur ball, why do you only know how to sleep all day? Lu Chen smiled. How could little fur ball not sleep? It killed hundreds of magic beasts a day. Speaking of which, Luo Yao was a woman after all. She liked children more than he did. Let's go. Rhubarb found something strange a while ago. Lu Chen stopped smiling and his expression became serious. If nothing went wrong, that was the Demon Pupil Valley's spirit vein. He had to make a choice again. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.